George, along with, you know him as USA Curling interim CEO. I know him as 2012 USA Curling national champion. And more importantly, 2014, I believe, sixth place finisher at Nationals with myself, Dean Gemmel. Dean, great to have you here with us.
Tyler, it's a thrill to be here. It's exciting to be here in the opening night. It's the first time we've been in an arena setting for a national championship since 2020. So happy to be here in Denver. It's an iconic venue, the Denver Coliseum. And we're looking forward to a great week of curling and coverage here with Curling Stadium.
Dean, as a veteran of the process here, do you want to take the team intros? You're going to leave that to me.
Sure. We've got Team Casper here. Team Casper, the young team that just captured the silver medal at the World University Games. At lead, they have Chase Sinnott. At second, Ben Richardson. At third, Luke Violette. And their skip is Danny Casper. There they are, Chase, Ben, Luke, and Danny. And their coach is Jordan Moulton. So this is a team, they're taking on Korey Dropkin, who's currently ranked number 9 in the world. They've had a great year. Lead, Thomas Howell from New Jersey. I always have to say that. Mark Fenner at second. Andrew Stopera at third and calling the game. And Korey Dropkin skipping, throwing last rock. So really a good matchup between two of our best young teams, Tyler.
That was a great pickup, Dean. I put you on the spot there. No, this is a great opener. Two very talented teams. Team Casper coming off of a silver finish at the University Games just a week and a half ago. And obviously Dropkin, our world representative last year, extremely accomplished team, runner-up for the Olympic trials last year. A team that we've looked to be the future of USA Curling for quite a while now, and they're at the top of the ladder right up there with John Schuster.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think if you were going to handicap the field, you'd probably say always certainly John Schuster in the top. I think, you certainly know from playing with him, Tyler, he's as comfortable playing at our national championships as anywhere. But certainly Dropkin has had a year to remember here, and they've had big games, big signature wins against top teams.
And two teams that I think would expect to be in the playoff mix at the end, certainly Dropkin with that pedigree and experience, but Team Casper is a younger team. Danny himself, only 21 years old, extremely young for a national men's skip. Had a lot of success at the junior level, but
top 8.
I think that's going to translate very well to the men's field as well. From what we've seen from Danny and his team, I'm very familiar with Luke and Ben, having coached them a few years ago at the Nationals and the World Championships. This team is not a team that's looking to make a dent and ruin somebody's week. This is a team that's looking to get into the playoffs and have a chance to win this championship.
Yeah, you mentioned Danny Casper, 21 years old. It wasn't that long ago. He was a 16, 17-year-old, growing about 6 inches a week, and I worked with him a little bit at his home club in Ardsley. Not trying to say that I did anything magic with him, but at the time, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I did not expect him to be 4 years later or so to be really a competent, confident skip at the men's level. So it's great. It's great to see his progress. The Dropkin team is, they made a lineup change. They had a great start. They struggled a bit, I guess, in one Grand Slam, Tyler. And they switched the lineup to have Andrew Stopera call the game. He's still throwing third, but what do you think of that change, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm always hesitant to make a change like that with an established team like Korey's team, Dean. I can understand how you think you're gaining something on the sweeping side of things with having Korey out there. Obviously, one of the most fit players in our system, and I think would be in anybody's system. But having him in the house for that long and then switching things up, especially with the national championship on the line, I don't know if this is a move they made very recently. I hadn't seen their recent tournaments, but if this was a newer team and they were trying to figure out what was going to work for them in the future, I think it would make a little more sense. But I would trust in Mark Lazar, and I hate giving him the credit to make the correct decision with this team. And I can guarantee you that Korey would not make that move unless it was something that he wanted to do as the leader of this team. So you just have to trust that the team is more comfortable in this position. But, yeah, it certainly is an eyebrow raiser, definitely.
Yeah, I think those are all good points. I think one thing, Korey, you mentioned he's one of the fittest players. I think he might actually like the physicality of sweeping more than many, right?
Hard.
Yeah, him and I differ on that one, I think. I was fine sweeping my 4 stones, and that was good when I played with John and all the years of skipping before that. That was just fine, too. But
just leave it there.
Take a look at the action now. It looks like Team Casper with the hammer in a decent position. 1 rock half buried in the top of the 8-foot. Dropkin is sitting second and third, and Casper with a biter for 4th.
It'll be interesting to see how Andrew Stopera and Korey Dropkin navigate this dynamic as well. I haven't seen them play a ton with this. They did it in Grand Slam and fared well, but you see some teams when they do this, the person in the rings will often stay down at the other end on their shots, and or not. You have to be a little more cognizant of time and how you use it.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest thing with the lineup switch like that is if your third is more involved in the conversation with a normal lineup, it tends to slow things down. But when your third player is calling the house, now your skip is going to be probably having more discussions with that third, with the person calling the house, based on what they want to play. So that tends to slow the game down a little bit. Whether or not the clock comes into play, we'll see. But it definitely can affect the pace of the game for the team, too. And if you don't feel like you're playing with a solid pace, then that definitely can maybe chop up the action a little bit.
It's a nice stone by Andrew there. I will say, just to viewers, we're dealing with a little bit of lag, so we're catching up here. But we'll sort that out. I just want to say that sometimes Tyler and I are looking at a monitor that's lagging just a bit based on internet speed, so we'll try to get that sorted.
Please. Whoa!
A nice finesse shot by Andrew Stopera there. And Dean, that's so important, making shots like that early in a tournament, to feel like you have a good feel for the ice. These first draws, we always tried to talk about how any win that you get in the first game is a bonus. Any loss you have, you kind of throw away because, again, everybody's just trying to get used to the conditions of the ice. So when you make those types of shots early, those hack waders where you can only see half a stone, and get that feel for the conditions, it helps your confidence so much.
So it looked like Luke Violette, I'm not quite sure he moved that other yellow far enough to outcount the red that's on the 12-foot on the tee line. So shaping up here for a chance for Dropkin to split the house pretty nicely and maybe lie 2.
It's possible they could bring that rock into play now. Again, we can't tell which of those is counting in the back over each other. But playing the short run for Stopera, I don't believe that the shooter will be able to get into the house and keep both.
Might get a roll behind. No, not quite. They tried to roll it as far as they could there behind the guard, but well done, well played.
And that's kind of a little bit of a savvy move from the young squad, too, playing that role. It is a very short run back to make. But that's how you bring that other redstone into play, is making them play a run on a rock where the shooter wouldn't get in the rings. So very nice play by Team Casper to possibly set up 2 early in the game.
Hard! Clean! Whoa! Roll it! Good shot.
Luke Violette trying to roll under. Doesn't roll quite far enough, I don't think. There's a lot of personal history here, too, because Andrew Stopera won 3 junior national championships skipping with Luke Violette. Luke Violette went on to win another one at skip himself. But these players have played against each other a lot. And then Danny Casper and Andrew Stopera have probably thrown about 1 billion practice rocks together at the Ardsley Curling Club in Ardsley, New York. So they know each other really well, too.
That's one thing that you'll find in the curling community that consistently happens, too, is the grudge matches from former teammates, friends from your own club. There's familiarity so much at all levels of the sport. So rarely do you see a game where there isn't some backstory between former teammates or club mates or something like that where they know each other very well. But obviously Luke and Andrew, with their history, have played together so much. I guarantee they want to win this one as much as any other game to have bragging rights over their buddies, too.
Korey able to make that hit and not jam it on the back yellow. I think yellow is lying 2. I think it's Dropkin lying 2 from that overhead. Looks to me as if they're lying 2.
You just try to make roll control.
Some good shot making here early. That that looks like a fairly routine shot, but if you ever hit a little thin and jam it on your back, all of a sudden you're giving them a free pass around that guard. But well done.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying that to Chase.
I think both teams are generally pretty happy with
yours, so
being able to play a mostly open end, one guard in play, getting used to the conditions first game of the tournament. You're going to hear us say that a lot during this game, getting used to things, finding the ice, finding the speed. You're always doing that throughout the week, but this is the most important game to try to figure out ice and win a game just because you need the conditions better than your
Casper
opponent.
trying to carve this over. Can he get that roll right behind the guard? Pretty nice. Might have peeked out a little bit, but Andrew seems to think that they can still get it. They swept for curl and then maybe overcooked it just a bit, Tyler.
Yeah, and that's, again, getting used to conditions, too, and how much sweeping for curl, carving a stone, if you want to call it that, actually affects it, and how much you can get it to move, and they're finding that out as it goes, too. So if indeed they did get that rock to turn over more than they expected, then that's something that they'll definitely have to take into account as the week goes on, that maybe sweeping will have more effect than they're used to in other tour events that they played this season. And now
Korey Dropkin, I think this is a hit for 2. He can use that red as a catcher if he really needs the double. I think it's a hit for 2.
I believe it's a hit to sit to. Danny does have hammer here.
All right, there we go. Sorry, my apologies.
Hey, we're warming up in the booth just like they're warming up on the ice.
I just ran up here, Tyler. I'm catching up.
Yeah, you weren't even out of breath, though. I was kind of impressed, even with the thin air here in Denver.
Yeah, this has got
really
some
got to
curling
turn
to do.
over a ton, yeah.
This is trouble for them, and that's not going to do that. Now it's a hit for 3 for the young Casper team, especially now they know.
Real concerned about the line out of hand. That one might have fooled him on the opposite side. You saw Howell was cleaning pretty hard on that stone. But that really didn't get anywhere near on that shot. So that's a big miss, and now a hit for 3 for Casper in the first.
So this would be a big turnaround here.
Things
got a lot more interesting once I figured out who had last rock, Tyler.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that yellow is second counter. There'd be no reason to hit this stone for
right. I had that
Danny.
part right.
Yeah.
But this is a big opening end potentially. I mean, certainly Dropkin and his teammates wouldn't be, at this point, they'd be thrilled to only giving up 2, but this is a shot Casper should make. Not a lot of room to roll, of course.
Final stone of the first end of the competition. Danny Casper with open hit, 4-3.
Hard!
So this team, they were working hard to make this one curl early, and now they're trying to hold it straight. Is that going to overcurl? And it does.
Yeah, that's going to roll out, and only a 2. And that was only about hack weight, looked like, on that shot, too. Maybe a little fooled by the speed on that line. I doubt they were trying to throw it that soft. But still a good opening end for Team Casper, putting a 2 on the board and taking an early lead over last year's World Representatives Team Dropkin. 1 end in the books here in Denver. Second end of the opening draw of 2023 men's side of the national championships here in Denver, Colorado. Team Casper, 2 in the first end. Great start for this young squad. Again, a few of them have plenty of experience at the men's level too, but relatively new. Championships. On to our sponsors as well. Is your curling club website clunky and unworkable? Are you tired of your club relying on social media because your website does not work for your members? Finally, the curling management software your club has been waiting for is here. Check out Warm Room Hero at curling.club today.
So yeah,
pretty professional.
That was pretty solid. It was like a true accomplished broadcaster there, or a radio DJ maybe, Tyler. But yeah, we're happy to have Warm Room Hero as a sponsor of this week, and it's a new software platform that is certainly interesting and could really help a lot of clubs. Chase Sinnott, it's interesting. We haven't talked about the fact that this team too. Chase Sinnott throws lead rocks, but holds the broom when Danny Casper throws. So Luke gets to sweep 6.
Yep.
Unlike you, Tyler, Luke, also a guy who might want to sweep more than most.
It's been a long time since I put everything I had into sweeping a stone. I can tell you that. And I don't
you put everything you had into it.
Yeah, and that might even go back as far as the Olympics and not the last few tournaments we played that year.
I always laugh when people say that if they play with 3, they're like, oh, it's all that sweeping. And I think, well, you're actually sweeping fewer stones when you play with 3. And they said, yeah, but you got to try it. You got to sweep harder. I'm like, you should really be sweeping hard all the time if you're supposed to be sweeping hard. It's not dependent on having somebody else to help you out. Corner guard going up here from Thomas Howell. Again, this is when I mentioned he's from the Plainfield Curling Club in South Plainfield, New Jersey, even though he lives in Milwaukee now and his parents live in Ohio.
Little delayed corner there, too, from Team Dropkin, hitting on the first stone in the rings and then rolling so that any roll back to the center was behind the tee line and then going to the corner. And that's a strategy, Dean. We've seen a lot more in the last few years since the 5-rock rule was implemented for the free guard zone.
Okay, well then, lines.
Yeah, their coach Mark Lazar, certainly a guy who studies a lot of that. And
Chase, can you get it in
that's
on this line?
Strategy he's talked through with them.
Just in.
And that's a sign, too, that
or there.
this team really isn't concerned about giving up 2 in the first end.
I thought that
and
was
they shouldn't
fine,
be.
yeah.
That's
like the
it's a deficit that any competitive team after 1 end in a 10-end game is not concerned about getting it all back right away and trying to get a 3. If you stumble into one, great, but they're just playing a soft 2 in essence.
Yeah, I remember Richard Hart, who played with Glenn Howard for years. They won a Grand Slam final once, and they gave up a steal of 2 in the first. And what he said was, we just treated it like we gave up 2 without, with last rock. It's 2 in the first end. If you're gonna, you should be able to come back from that. So
behind you here.
And we don't have too many teams in the world that are like Kevin Martin, where when they scored 2 in the first end, they won 38 straight games. So you're not real concerned about that in this tournament.
I'm grateful, probably in some ways, we don't have many teams that win 38 straight games. But the level of play is so good at the highest levels. It's difficult to win, but
yeah, that was one we actually had to play for too. That knowing if Kevin got 2 in the first, you're pretty much dead right out of the gates because they played so well with the lead.
So like you said, there's the lone red counter at the back of the house, a corner guard up. Dropkin and Howell on the brushes. Dropkin and Howell played together in juniors along with Fenner a lot. Won championships both with Corey skipping and with his brother Steven skipping one year.
You saw that rollout on the stone a little earlier in the end. Allowed Team Casper to peel the guard. So now we have a wide open end that very likely will be trading hits and Dropkin playing for a blank as they're not willing to push the action without any guards in play and only one in the house. So
over curling a bit. It's real tight.
This is Luke Biolette. Always been impressed with Luke's all-around game. Great draw weights, good pressure player, and a guy that's really grown up a lot with regard to being a leader and a teammate over the last few years. And I would say that about anybody at that age. I would put Luke ahead of myself and anybody else I played with at that age. And it's so great to see the development of these younger players getting used to these pressure situations, but learning about team dynamics and how to be good teammates for each other. And Luke has made such huge strides in that particular area over the last few years. Just a good, solid all-around player and great teammate as well.
Yeah, these young players come into the men's and women's game nowadays a little more prepared than probably you did or I did even further back than that, for sure. It's fun to watch. And Luke will be here in the broadcast booth or the webcast booth later in the week.
Yeah, he was very available for that.
Yeah, he was.
He's a talker like us.
I worked with him last year in Omaha at the trials, and he's very good at breaking down the game and certainly super smart about it. So it'll be great for him to join you here. I got to get out of here, Tyler. I was only doing this because we were stuck. As much as I love it, but we'll get Luke in here and got a whole roster coming up.
Well, that's a good way to get across that everyman effort from the CEO position too, Dean. You're in the booth.
Oh yeah, there.
We're
look
helping
at me.
set up the merchandise earlier
merchandise.
today.
Yeah,
that's what we want to see.
And our merchandise is really going well so far, Tyler. We're excited about it. So
I wanted to make sure you didn't get bored too. So I called you out to get in here with me to start out.
I think
I do love it in the booth. Yeah.
And I have to say too, you can't see us, but I love wearing suits when we get to do the studio work and stuff like that. I'm not all dressed up today, but Dean is to the nines.
I went suit for the opening ceremony. Yeah, you have to put a suit on for the opening and the closing in my mind.
Yep.
You got a tie for the opening. So yeah. So yeah, a fairly routine end here now as we work towards a blank.
Yeah, good chance for Casper to get a feel for draw weight now too.
Hard,
2 hits in the first. Always good as a skip to get a chance to throw something soft.
I think for Team Casper too, this is just a.
There's our lag for an open hit there. There is a rock down there now.
We're going to give a few things away here, probably, Tyler, with our till we sort this out a bit. But I think for Casper, actually, though, it quickly got to a blank end situation. But for this young team, scoring 2 in the first, they're probably pretty happy about a blank here.
Yeah, it's hard to cut.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of a dream start for them with getting the 2 in the first. Obviously, they had the open hit and stick for 3, but definitely would have taken 2 to start. And then a blank in the second, a 2-0 lead after 2 ends, playing solid curling so far. Very good start for the young squad. And carrying over that confidence from the World University Games as well.
Curl.
So open hit and stick for Danny Casper once again.
Cold out here?
Yeah, what do you think, Bob? How do we play that in?
And now we can assure you that he made that hit and stick as that yellow rock has become red. So this will be a blank attempt for Team Dropkin. Playing this end with a lot of pace, too, to save time later in the game, which is a veteran maneuver as well.
All right.
Korey executes the blank, and we are head to the third end. Dropkin down 2-0 to Team Casper.
Yeah, Danny Casper leads 2-0 over Korey Dropkin after 2 ends here in Denver, Colorado, 2023 United States Curling Championships. Back in Denver for the start of end 3. Team Casper versus Team Dropkin. Casper leads 2-0.
Line's good.
Tyler George
Still
here in the
Ben.
booth with USA Curling Interim CEO
Hi,
Dean
Ben.
Gemmel.
Thank you, Tyler.
Good.
Yeah, it's great to be up here. And
Okay.
so far 2 ends. Fairly
Let
not,
it
maybe
stop
not.
now,
There was certainly some good shot
On
making
the
in the
center
first end. The
line.
last end was fairly
Good
routine
chase.
after it settled into blank mode. But I expect to see these two teams start to really battle as it gets into it here.
It looks as though they're settling in a little bit. I thought the shot making even early in the game was very solid for trying to get a feel for the conditions once again.
Yeah, outside of the one that seemed to float on Korey a little bit, but this is that led to the 2 and possibly a 3. But comes Howell putting up the corner guard.
Yeah, and I think you'll see Team Dropkin now get a little more aggressive this end, as you can tell from that decision to throw the corner guard by Tom Howell.
Put that one out there nice and wide, Tyler, right? I mean, sometimes teams, they get that corner guard too tight when there's already a center line guard.
Yeah, that one's almost in the Hackner corner range there.
Yeah.
Not quite that close to the hog line.
It's way out there. But certainly,
Little room.
I like that, though,
Ladder up.
because it can be tricky on ice that curls
Let it
this much
grab.
if you get it too close
It's
to
getting better. Still got a curl line.
center line guard.
Got a full
Team
center line.
Casper electing to go
14-3.
right to the
Line's
forefoot.
perfect
Intern
now.
draw for Chase Sinnott.
Perfect for top 4. Curl a bit. Curl it. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Nice
You
chase.
get it
That's
to top
well done.
forefoot.
There it is, top
That's
forefoot, fully
Very
buried.
well placed by those sweepers. Well thrown by Chase.
Andrew Stopera will try to
Really?
corner freeze on that stone.
Following with another intern draw for Tom Howell.
Line's close. Curl.
And now, Dean, we're into that place where rock positioning is so important. When Sinnott's rock stops in the top of the forefoot, they have control of the center of the ice. Team Dropkin definitely going to try to reposition, get a freeze so that they can use it later in the end, but this looks like it's going to be well short. by
Comes
Howell.
up short. They worked that hard all the way and comes up a few feet short of its intended spot. So not the result they were looking for. It's not completely terrible, but not
Straight right
certainly
now.
far from ideal.
Close, Luke.
Ben Richardson here, who
Where?
also won 3 junior titles
Yes,
with
yes.
Andrew and Luke, and Graham
Hard line.
Fenson, I guess, back then, right, Tyler?
Hard
And,
line. Yep. Hard then.
Yeah, that was our squad in 2020.
Okay, well then. Whoa,
with,
whoa.
Yeah, you coached
now.
these kids.
Luke-
and you coached
Luke,
when
Ben.
Luke was skipping.
Riley Fenson,
Good.
Graham Fenson, John Harstad.
Sorry.
Very solid team. You know,
9-7,
that's the
so-
kind of team, Dean, when you get the call to coach them, you say yes because you're just riding coattails. They've
Yeah.
already won championships, so you step in and, we'll see if you can carry this has-been coach to another championship. So
I think that's about the only coaching opportunity that I would be good at, Tyler. Just where I'm quite convinced I'd be a fairly mediocre at best coach. So it's tricky. Mark Fenner here. He's going to throw something up weight. Try to get a lot of rocks moving. Fenner throws the big weight pretty easily, but let's see what this result is. Doesn't get the action they wanted.
Just on the
does roll
logo.
over for a corner,
2.
but not going to be able to use those unless they can move these rocks in the center first. So Team Casper in total control of this end right now. 2 rocks in the house, both on the center line, 1 in the forefoot, and a semi-center guard just off the center on the left side.
Hey.
So
Line's
again,
good.
Team Casper really in control of
Line's
this game
good.
from start right to now.
Line's perfect. Okay. Well, just barely touch center line.
This is
Easy, I think you're
Richardson
good.
second.
Good
Trying
spot.
to just barely touch center line, according to Danny Casper.
Again, we apologize for the lag in the feed, but we are ironing these things out, and hopefully we'll have this going more strongly as the game goes. But yeah, now 2 center guards for Casper, 2 underneath. Does set up for a pretty makeable double peel.
Double peel is there, but it looks like Stopera would like to get some action on the rocks and the rings. Certainly want to get either the double peel or action on those 2 in the rings.
There's a couple of ways to make something good with this shot. With the double peel opening things up, obviously would be great. But if it does miss that second guard, there's a chance to move some granite around in the house as well. So a lot of good options.
And not the result they wanted, though.
Can you come around the top 12
yeah, they
here?
sort of missed the works
the other
back
thing
there.
Is you could.
That's the worst case
I
scenario.
think this is better, to be honest.
Right.
For Team Dropkin there, you really need to be on the outside of that stone.
You know, I don't want to give him a freeze or something.
So a bit of a 5-alarm fire here now for Dropkin.
Like just on the center line?
And that's not something you want to give a young team early in the game, Dean, early in a competition. They had a lot of confidence coming in already from their finish in Lake Placid a few weeks ago. And now this first game against a team that by basically anyone would consider a front runner for the title, really in control of this game and throwing the rock confidently too.
Right, and I'm sure Casper's thinking about how they send a message this week, and this game would be a good way to get a good start to it. So probably an advantage that they played the World University games. You get to play on that championship ice, and they had a great run there. It's a good competition.
That's a very good point too, Dean. Because in the month of January, especially leading into the play-down season, there really aren't many top-flight events for teams to play in if you're not in the slams or you don't have a play-down of your own leading up to it. So there's a pretty good layoff without playing in top-caliber conditions. And the university games for Team Casper and on the women's side, Team Strauss, really can be an advantage for them in having that rhythm coming in.
Dropkin did play in a Grand Slam, so they did have that. But there's also just the fact that the World University Games are like this, a longer competition, could be helpful. But we'll. So Andrew Stopera certainly has some work to do here with his first. Try to move. Really need to get some action on the rocks and the rings, I think, here, Tyler. And it's not easy.
Yeah, they definitely want to move a few stones around here. Just clearing one guard's not going to be good enough with this chase. Now with 3 in the house. And another thing to point out with the ice too, Dean, is that people may not know certain ice makers have similar ice based on what you could expect coming out. So Sean Olison, the head ice tech this week for Nationals, is a disciple, I guess we'll say, of Dave Stavitek, who did the Nationals ice forever. Dave did the ice for the WUGs, for the university games. So the conditions here I would expect to be very similar to what the university game team saw out at Lake Placid. And Korey playing on slam ice, as you see that run back runs by.
The nightmare sort of continuing here for Dropkin. They keep trying these run backs, which you would expect them to make a fair amount of, and they're just missing high side or low side, but they're not getting any action on the 3 rocks and the rings.
And here's where rock placement is so important, too, with these guards. Instead of just saying, we're putting up a center guard, where exactly do you want this stone to take away Dropkin's ability to move more than a couple stones at once?
Close, Ben.
And you really kind of want this a little tighter because on this line, if it's higher, maybe they could slash it over the top. This really needs to curl.
Keep going. It's close, hard. Hard. Keep going.
They might have left a hole here.
Richardson really trying to carve this and turn it over.
I think there is going to be a hole. It won't be a large one, but
really carried at the end. I think it was just enough to cover it.
Maybe just enough. I guess they are going to try to run this one in.
You think all 4 of these go, Dean, on this run?
They could.
Is there a little drag there?
A little drag to get the one just in the top of the forefoot. Stopera certainly comfortable throwing the rock hard. He's a strong kid and like to get some action there. So at least you can start to think about Korey having a reasonable draw for 1 to get out of this end, right? Rock on the way. Hal's going to have to work this one hard. And there's some action. Well, he got rid of
3 leaves.
Got rid of 3. 3
very good shot by Andrew Stopera to make this a manageable situation for.
Yeah, that was big. Certainly still advantage Casper. He can make this draw, but that really relieved a lot of the pressure for Team Dropkin.
And that's one thing from watching the university games too. We saw that Team Casper's biggest issue late in that tournament was rock placement and where they what they were leaving their opponent. In that situation, when they played that
So the
come-around
second
draw
we're
to get a
guarding
third
Curl
counter,
if you can for
the
weight.
fact that they swept it to freeze on that rock in the top of the 12-foot is what allowed Team Dropkin to play that run and lose those stones. If they leave that shorter, whether it's in the house or not, that angle's not lined up right. If they tap it a little bit, same thing. But leaving it just cornered gave Team Dropkin the opportunity to clear those stones.
Oh.
But if that's your biggest problem at this point in the game, things are going pretty well. Danny Casper with an out-turn draw now. Sweepers not
Right
real
off
interested
this.
in this one.
Bring
And
it back.
It's got some curling to do, and they certainly
Thanks, Corey.
don't want it too deep. So interesting here, Tyler. One shot by Andrew Stopera. Makes the triple. Complexion totally changed. Now there's a skips deuce in the works here for Korey Dropkin.
It's an interesting decision for Dropkin here because obviously there's an out-turn draw they can play, but if this ends up top 4-foot, there's a very short run back on the in-turn side for Team Casper, where Dropkin may not have much opportunity to score if it's made. So it's a little bit of a risk to play it. If you make it good and they miss the short run, then you have a great chance for that skips too, as you mentioned.
I think some here might elect to have it over curl, and even if they're even slightly behind the tee line, to take away that really good angle in that short run. You could leave this, you're right, Tyler, in a position where perhaps even I could make the short run. But yeah, it's rock placement is big here, as we'll talk about that all week. Definitely something that there's such a small difference between a half shot and a made shot and what that does to an end.
Out-turn draw on the way for Korey Dropkin.
They were on it early to worried about it curling, but now they're trying to get it to move. Looks like all the finished is late. Can they get at least? So they're certainly not going to overbury it like we discussed. I do think, though, that this run, while it's there, will leave Korey with a relatively... Well, he'll either have the same out-turn draw, Tyler, or he might have to... Or if it goes over the top, he'll have a relatively routine in-turn draw.
I think
we rolled a shooter far away.
Casper would be very happy with leaving the same draw, because if he sticks this in, I don't think Korey will have the same line. He'll have to go all the way wide around it to get shot, and the shooter may roll to a spot that takes away the in-turn draw.
Takes away the in-turn draw. They're talking about that. That's absolutely true. Good point.
So really probably hit maybe 2/3 of this. Be pretty close.
But Danny Casper's last rock here of the third end.
Whoa, Curl.
Playing a little more weight than I think would be expected on this shot. Really trying to get this to turn over.
It's like they're trying to get it to carve early. Ooh, and...
Yeah, that's the wrong side to be on there. And now a wide open draw for two instead for Team Dropkin. And again, that run back by Stopera absolutely turned this game, or this end, on its head and set up this opportunity, not just to get out of the end, but all of a sudden
even it up with a deuce. Really quite a turn of events. Certainly, I think Danny Casper would like to have that one back. He sort of hit it too thin over the top. That was the spot where Korey Dropkin missed in the first end. He didn't curl as much as he
expected.
Pretty
much the exact same line, yeah.
So it may be a slightly straighter path there. And
we saw that a little bit on the opposite side with the draw too, that both teams were trying to get the guard and the come around draw to finish. So it might be just a little sensitive until late break, which would not be all that uncommon for Dave Stavatag and Sean Olison's ice. That break point and weight is usually around board to hack with their ice.
So Dropkin now with a draw for true too, just needs to touch the 4-foot. He's going to make that. And so an interesting end, one that had all the emotions going back and forth, Tyler.
Tom.
I don't think Dropkin envisioned two once we got to third, second stones of that end, but that's what that weapon, being able to clear things open, can do for you. So it is tie score 2-2 after 3 ends at the National Championships here in Denver, Colorado.
Let's see. Around...
Twin Cities Orthopedics is ready to go with more doctors, specialty services, and convenient urgent care locations. Ready, set, TCO.
We're
And
back.
number 4 of the opening draw of the 2023 Men's and Women's National Championship. Score 2-2, Team Casper, Team Dropkin after 3 ends. And here in the booth, Tyler George with Dean Gemmel. Dean, kind of an escape back there by Team Dropkin in the second or third end. And again, credit to Andrew Stapera for giving them that opportunity to even have a chance to score, let alone get 2.
Yeah, I don't think either team saw that end turning the way it did. We could quickly give some scores from other sheets. Ethan Sampson is up 2-0 over Rich Roonan. Rich here skipping a young team. Sobering and Dunham.
Gotta curl a lot.
It is.
Always curl.
Well, I had it until they moved, Tyler. Now I can't see the scoreboard. I will say John Schuster and Jason Smith, that game is tied up at 1-1 after 2 ends. Schuster has the hammer in the third end. And it is 2-1 Dunham over Sobering playing the third end as well.
And yet another grudge match over on sheet 1 with Schuster and Jason Smith, teammates for pretty much their entire youth lives and a good chunk of their men's careers as well.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you Jason wants that one very badly.
Of course, played together at the 2010 Olympics. I remember the brief time I played with you, Tyler, before you went to play with John on the way to winning the gold medal in 2018. You told us how much you liked to play against John and beat him because you were especially motivated, I think. So I think anybody, to be honest, I think anybody is motivated when they play John Schuster. I think anybody who's not motivated to play him isn't paying attention. So, you know.
And that's familiarity, too, you know, playing against John and knowing him since our teenage years. You want those W's over your friends as much as anything else. And we always had a healthy respect for each other on opposite sides of the fence when we played. And
you were used to playing them in league night, so, you know.
Yeah.
This is Chase Sinnett's second stone here.
If you're here.
Fourth end.
Curl if you're bumping. Curl.
Looks like this may be bumping off just a little bit. It settles in pretty nicely. Good pair by Chase Sinnott.
Result. Could have bounced slightly less, but I think it held on just enough. Corey thinks he might be able to get, or Andrew thinks he might be able to get inside that, or is he looking at the run? Too early for the run.
Yeah, I think they like their position here, Dean. I think they'll try to juggle these around a little bit and try to keep that position above the tee line. And this is the type of setup that we'll see in a few weeks at the mixed doubles nationals too.
For sure.
Piling rocks up in the top of the 4-foot and 8-foot and playing position the entire time.
So Perez would probably say here, one of his expressions I've heard him use is we want to just buzz the guard. So he wants to just get tight to the guard here, as tight as they can. They're sweeping it for line.
That looks like it. Maybe we're over curling, and yeah, wrecks the guard.
Didn't quite buzz it, wrecked on it. So now we'll see what Casper contemplates his situation.
Maybe seeing a little bit of difference in the line, Dean, on getting closer to the center line and that break point, because we've had a few hanging out that they had to sweep to finish, trying to draw to the side of the 4-foot. But going to the middle, trying to get to the button or the center line, we saw a couple rocks over curl. So there may be a little bit of a break line between the middle of the 8-foot and just outside the edge of the 8-foot.
Well, that's someone who can read ice, unlike me, Tyler, who would probably not remember all that.
No.
But no, there is you know, this ice is going to be consistent, but there are also going to be spots where things will be a little trickier.
Boy, that's a bit of an ugly miss there by Richardson, playing the inside-out peel, and right through the hole, takes his own stone out. And Dean, I should mention the key is that you say there may be a line there. Then I'm not technically wrong if it's not true.
Yeah, this is certainly one Ben Richardson would like to have back, that one. Did get sort of lucky to leave one out there that Anders Stopera does not want to ignore yet. Otherwise,
it's a very good leave, leaving it in the outside of the house.
Otherwise, it'd really be in a challenging situation. Fenner will try to remove that one, the lingering one that hung around.
Yeah, I'm still a little surprised that they're hitting this outside stone, Dean, because the way those rocks are lined up, if you double freeze on that stone on the top of the forefoot, that rock in the 12 is meaningless.
It looks pretty appealing, doesn't it?
That over curls and will hit and roll out as well.
Yeah, back 8.
Some little lack of precision here right now as the game has gone on, as the teams adjust.
And part of the decision on that particular shot, too, is not just that it's a good position for you to have, but once they hit that stone on the outside, now you're giving Team Casper the ability to play to the center instead.
You're right, and Casper is probably playing this shot no matter what happens, whether they hit stuck or anything, right?
Hard!
So they're probably always playing this.
Hard! Hard!
Tight to the guard, though. Can they get it by?
Yep.
Ticks the guard and ends up still spilling into the rings. So again, a little bit fortunate for Team Casper, but those may be lined up for both Reds to leave the premises very quickly. This one they're thinking a little bit more about, but I think this is pretty cut and dry. Get rid of both those Reds while you can. You're on third stones now, Dean. It's late enough in the end where you're not worried about positioning as much as killing the opportunity for your opponent that has hammer to score more than 1 point.
True. So Stopera will try to match what he did in the previous end with some good shot making.
I was like,
Of course, you and I both played with Andrew's father. You briefly, but me for many years.
As if we needed to bring it up and make us feel older than.
Well, they are. Well, his father, Bill, a national champion with me, and also, but also, I think Andrew and Bill have dramatically different approaches to the game. Andrew's very calculated and quiet, but confident. Bill, I don't think.
Where are you going with this?
Quiet. So now they're working on this one.
Yeah, this tight to the guard as well. Both teams really struggling with that line on the edge of 4s, middle of 8 foot, really turning over hard. And I think, especially on Team Dropkin's side, Dean, they got a little spooked by Korey's flash in the first with that intern hack weight shot. And now taking a little less broom, getting closer to the center of the sheet, really turning over, and that's 3 straight shots this end now that we've seen for both teams that over curled on that line.
Interesting scenario here, knowing that
hack, you're just going to leave this right here, and that's terrible.
That yellow-red lined up pretty good still for Dropkin. So what do you do with that grouping? What do you like here, Tyler?
I think your options here, Dean, are either guarding it and letting them play a run on your own stone back, in which case they have to lose the raised rock as well as the 2 in the house to make it worth it, or just coming and tapping them around a little bit, but you have to make sure you still don't leave an angle to lose all 3 if that's the case. So it looks like they're going to try to move these stones. I don't mind this call. I don't think there's a wrong call between the 2, and your third option would be just to throw another one somewhere out in the wings, but then you're allowing Team Dropkin to hit and probably sit 2.
So they're playing the jiggle, I guess, Tyler, is what they're playing. Let's call it the jiggle.
Clean!
And
whoa! Clean!
Well, it looks like probably close to boardish.
My friend and colleague on the athlete commission, Jill Officer, would call it a wiggle.
A wiggle.
As opposed to a jiggle.
As opposed to a jiggle. Well.
So after bumping those stones around, Team Dropkin sitting 1. But Team Casper, second, third, and fourth with hammer.
And they managed to move one red stone behind the corner guard. The other is deep, but yeah, it's not a lot of great options here for Korey and Andrew.
Yeah, he likely can lose
collected.
2 stones for Team Casper, but the shooter won't count that red stone in the back of the 8-foot on the right side. So 2 still definitely in play regardless of what Dropkin would do if they hit that top stone. So you see now they're thinking maybe just hitting this back rock, sitting 2, and I think this is the smart call. It's the only way. It's the only shot you can play that kills a stone and has you sit 2, I believe.
Big shot here, though, with a lonely yellow in there and 3 reds lurking.
And again, going a little farther out, too. So we'll see if this is outside that break line that we were talking about, where it runs a little bit and doesn't get to that stone. If there's a miss, I think we'd expect to see it on the wide side here.
Chase!
We'll see where it ends up. You're hearing Dropkin asking for curl.
Chase!
We need this one to curl here, and don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, just as we mentioned, Dean, that line really didn't get the curl I think that they expected. And
yeah, but
really just trying to figure out where that
do.
break line is for where the rocks turn over and where they run straight there.
So it sticks around, but it's 4th shot, which is if we look at the angle on the yellow-red right now, though, where does that yellow go, Tyler? Does it?
I don't mind it.
Think it lands on their back red if you hit it hard? Pretty close.
They're likely going to lose their back red, but I don't think you have much
More?
option with to play it. So you still have 3 rocks left in this end. So you're trying to set up your 2, possibly 3 with your last 2 shots. That yellow one's going to have to go for that to be the case. So more important on this shot is where the shooter ends up, because there's a very good chance there'll be a double lined up with the 2 red stones that are left if you don't roll this to a good spot.
Yep. Hard! Clean, whoa!
We'll see how hard it hits this back stone.
Yep.
Must be close.
Actually manages to keep that stone around, too. So very good result for Team Violet. You see that there's definitely a double lined up for Team Dropkin, which would be buried under the corner guard above the tee line, too. So really important shot here for Korey.
Yeah, if he can stick it right behind the corner guard, it certainly changes the complexion of the end again. But precise shot, that's for sure. And we'll see what this one does. You know, when you have a few float on you sometimes in a game, you get a little nervous about where the broom is, and you start to do some things as you let it go. I don't think that'll be a problem for Korey here, but
Korey Dropkin, his first here in the 4th end. Looking to make this in-turn double and sit underneath the corner.
Howells with the brush down.
What's that? I mean, how much we got of this one? I don't know that we can move this very far. How much we got of this, Chris?
We could reveal what happened, Tyler, but
we're waiting on the feed, and
we won't.
Over curls, jams on the back.
Play that, right? Which is fine.
It appears as
That's
though
why I'm thinking if we roll
it's very
and he
close for
plays that,
count.
then it might be open for us, or not open, but more doable for us to hit.
I'm going to go with, and again, overheads were almost always wrong on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that Dropkin's sitting 1 in the back of the 8-foot, but in Casper's 2nd. And I'm partially cheating on this because the way that they're eyeballing this rock in the back 8 makes us think that they're going to move.
Yeah, I think they think they need to make a play on it, which they may not be. They'd probably be considering some other options if they thought it wasn't shot.
This is a really touchy shot too, because again they've been running straight in the outside. You're kind of guessing a little bit on weight, but you can't really play more than hack on this shot.
If you're playing in the Tuesday night league, though, Tyler, you might think about, I'll just chisel my own red under if I miss it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nervy, that's for sure.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
You have to get pretty much to nose to sit 2.
On its way. They're on it
Hard.
early. Now they're trying to make a curl.
That's been on-off, switching to curl, and
usually that means it's
straight.
close.
It's very close here.
Looks really good, actually. Just papers the guard.
Great shot.
Terrific shot by Danny Casper.
Hard to overstate how difficult that shot is on that line early in the competition. And that type of weight that you have to play to make it, to get to nose.
Interesting for sure.
Dropkin really doesn't have a very good option right now.
He's looking at a tap here because, you know, if he could chase that one at that Danny just threw, but there's no way he's rolling under. And he could easily leave Casper's shot for 3 or even 4 with a miss. So they're
even removing either of those red stones that are shot, the shooter's likely rolling out. And then again, as you said, an open hit for 3 regardless. So he may be forced into playing the tap in this situation.
I believe they're even thinking about the split here too. They could make the split and lie 2.
And there probably wouldn't be a double on that line either if they do make the split.
One should be welded to the red probably, or close to welded. But the split would at least give you give you an opportunity to get out of this. I'm sure they'd love to be lying 2 after this.
And the number one thing with this shot, obviously, you want to be as precise as possible, but you have to make contact with that yellow stone, no matter what. Even if you push this under the corner, there's a chance that they may not be able to access it unless it goes behind the red counter in the top of the 8 foot.
Yeah, I mean, you could just barely chisel it under and it wouldn't be bad. But
I think best case would be hitting about a quarter of the stone with through the house and roll wide as far as you can, but still sit 2.
Dropkin's rock on the way. Andrew Stopera trying to make just the right line call here.
It's not a lot of weight, so I don't think there's going to be much separation between these stones either.
No, he certainly didn't overthrow it, but moves it enough, and that's actually a pretty great shot.
Yeah, that ended up pretty good.
Although he may not be, he is he third shot or is he?
It looks like third, so it's
So
still an open hit for 2 for Casper.
Open it for 2. They needed to move that one a little further. Dropkin did.
Control.
And then it would be would have been just the saver they wanted. But now Danny Casper with an open hit for 2 to get the 2 back that he got in the first end.
We can roll in too.
This will be Danny's out turn, probably maybe control weight for this shot. Looking to get that 2-point lead back here in the 4th.
Yes, yes. Whoa, whoa. Curl hard. Hard. Hard.
This has got a curl to stick around as well.
Hard. Hard.
It looks like it will.
And does just stick around enough for the 2.
That was me not giving away too much there, Tyler. It looks like it will.
I saw the hands in the air out on the ice. Yeah. That's usually a pretty good sign. So Team Casper does indeed get their 2 to retake a 2-point lead against Team Dropkin in the opening draw of the 2023 Men's USA Curling National Championships.
The everyday person may not aspire to be a professional athlete or an Olympic athlete. You may just want to be the best person you can be. You just may want to sleep better. You may want to feel better. Thorne has many products that can support all of those things. So it's not just about performing or running faster or jumping higher. It's those little things that go into having a higher quality of life.
Back in Denver, Colorado, the 2023 Men's and Women's National Championships. We have Team Casper, Team Dropkin as the feature game for this opening draw. Team Casper with a 2 in the first and 2 in the fourth. Team Dropkin with a 2 in the third. And we are now 4-2. Danny Casper leads over Korey Dropkin. And Dean, again, the lineup change for Team Dropkin with Stapera in the rings, I think there's probably going to be a little more feeling out for them too as they're going. And you never want to say that one game, as we mentioned earlier, is a throwaway game. But that first game of the tournament, you're really just trying to get your feet under you.
Yeah, you're right, Tyler. Can set the tone for the rest of the week. You get off to that good start. Of course, I've seen it both ways. I've seen a team start well in the first game and then go on a run of not winning. But I think if you had your druthers, you'd pick to win the first game along with all the other ones. But
I like to mention to especially younger teams in the 09 Olympic trials. I don't like talking about the end of it, but the 10 games before that, we lost our first game to Todd Burr, and we won the next 9.
There you go.
Played in the finals. So that's
Straight
one where instead of thinking,
Line's
oh man,
good.
do we deserve to be here?
Okay.
Are we the same team we thought we were? It's just the first game where you're trying to get used to the ice and the atmosphere and everything.
It really indicates the importance of winning the right games as well, Tyler.
You gotta
we
keep going.
bookended the week. We won all the middle games, lost the first and last.
Yeah.
That last one's very important.
Yeah, the last one is really critical, the final.
Yeah, we were talking the other day. Actually, I was talking with Danny Casper in the airport on the way out here, and about John Schuster's success that he's had over the years. And we figured out that in the 5 Olympic trials that John has won, even though a few of them had a best-of-3 finals, John played a winner-take-all game in all 5.
Yeah, no,
and won every single one.
It's fairly extraordinary, his run. Stopera's called for the come around behind this wide corner after Chase Sinnott came up short on his draw. So opportunity here for Thomas Howell to bury one. It looks like they're working hard to get it there. When I don't know if it's shot or not. Danny Casper seems to think the high red is still shot.
Top 4
is well buried, but certainly they would like that one to be shot.
I like this call from Casper too, playing the out-turn draw, staying aggressive, not sitting on that 2-point lead. There's just not enough of that yellow stone to play the inside-out hit. It's a much higher percentage shot.
Seize on an opportunity here too,
and
a half shot there from Thomas Howell.
And another thing that, again, I talked with Danny about for the tournament too is that so much of playing against teams that feel like they're a better team than you are.
It's really good.
It really doesn't matter what the skill level is if they're chasing your stones all the time. And this is the tact that we used against Nicholas Edin so much, and why we had such a great record against him was they're the best run-back team in the world. They're the best defensive team in the world, but they can make 9 run-backs in a row and miss the 10th as long as they're chasing your stones. They can't score. So they miss the 10th one, you score 2 or 3. That's the whole point. And I think Danny's going to take that to heart for this week too, playing against Korey Dropkin and John Schuster, that you don't need to overcomplicate the game to beat these teams. You just can't let them be the ones that are in first. And there's a big difference between having them chase you and playing over aggressively. It's a matter of being in the house first and having them chase your stones. And that's definitely been the case in this game already against Team Dropkin.
So there's some discussion here for they're going to go after the red stone in the top 8 foot. I have to admit, Tyler, I'm a tiny bit distracted at the moment because we're nearing the 5th end break on the sheet next to our empty sheet here. We have 5 sheets, 4 are being used for the competition. And at the 5th end break, we've sold raffle tickets in the first 4 ends. And one lucky fan is going to come out and have a chance to throw a stone. If they touch the button, they win the entire pot. And if they put it in the rings, we'll give them something from Columbia. And if they don't, USA Curling keeps it. So, I'm pretty excited about how this is going. Aaron Kaler, our events director, just told me that we've sold a lot of tickets, so we'll see how that goes at the 5th end break.
You see that wreck on the guard trying to play that out-turn hack weight shot, and okay to hit the guard and open it up, but it does push it into their own yellow in the wing. Now, Dean, important question about this draw at the break. Do they have USA Curling CEO Dean Gemmel sweeping that stone for them
in this
decked-out suit?
Yeah, that would have been exciting, Tyler. Really show that I can still brush even in my advancing years.
Well,
But,
and the fact that you said the money goes to USA Curling, if
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
not made, probably might affect the effort.
good call.
Just touch the center line.
I could play the keep it out of the
Barely
house
touch
game,
it.
couldn't I? So we do have Phil
I think it's
Drobnik
good.
down there ready to
Whoa,
train
no, no.
what I hope is a brand new curler. So that's the excitement here. But so it's not as dire as it was in the third end, Tyler, but it's a little similar in that Dropkin here with the hammer has been sort of chasing this whole end.
I think this game has gone absolutely to the plan that they had going in for Team Casper outside of one shot. Danny makes that
Right.
short run back in the third end. Not only does Korey have no chance for 2, but has to make a difficult draw against 3. So despite that, I think the way the game is played out, Team Casper really couldn't be much happier with it. And I think if you're Team Dropkin, you're still relatively happy with the scoreboard based on the way the game has gone to this point.
Mark Fenner with his second one here. It's a big one. He needs something pretty good. And he gets it.
Oh, that's a great shot by Fenner. Look
That's
at that.
a shot of
All
the game
3
for
go.
Fenner.
Buried
I don't
under the
know.
corner guard.
Really a great shot by Fenner. And again, just like we saw in the third end when Andrew Stoper's shot changed the complexion of the end.
I mean, the run,
Fenner
like,
makes a big one here.
probably just going to stuff it.
And that, again, was a little bit of
Which is
rock
fine.
placement error by Team Casper. And that is
7-8.
where they run into trouble, was that guard left that shot open for Fenner,
Yeah.
where there was no real danger for them. They could play that double and know they're going to open the front up at the very least. And now, obviously, got a great bonus with where the rock ended up in the house, too.
Yes.
So Luke
Yes!
Violet electing to play the run back here. Important shot. Need to get some action on those rocks in the rings. And he stuffs it. Misses the back one and ends up rolling the shooter close to the center lines, edge to edge with that center line guard.
Yeah, if you took a break and left the room about a minute and a half ago and came back, you're probably wondering how these rocks got to where they're at now. But Team Dropkin now firmly in control of this end after chasing for the first half. Andrew Stopera throwing his first. That broom looks like they may be coming in for a tap. Multiple point end definitely on the board for Team Dropkin. And Dean, this is where you see a more experienced team. When you give them that break, you give them that turnaround shot, they really try to get the momentum going their way.
Yeah, so big shot here for Stopera. They got Fenner, looks like he's going to be trying to work it over.
I think they would have liked to get to the inside with this tap, and it's not going to get there.
Does get quite a bit of separation, but there's certainly a slash double
Take this one.
available. I
Might
don't know.
just
I
have
think
to
you're always
forget the
rolling
roll
over the
and
top
just
of the
focus
other
on
one, though,
this.
so the 2 is still certainly in play for
Throw it hard.
Dropkin.
It's a damage control shot, definitely. With a 2-point lead, you're really trying to limit Team Dropkin to 2 or
there.
less if you can.
Steal.
And even 3 isn't a disaster for you, but clearing these 2 stones, Dropkin will have to draw and likely go under the corner on the opposite side to spread things out. They may go underneath the center, but there's a little risk in leaving a freeze for your opponent to kill the end, even if it's above the tee line.
So Luke Violet playing the intern slash
Oh, no.
double.
Curl.
Looks like he's out there
No.
pushing it hard to curl early. Ooh, and that's one where you're sometimes, you're so focused on making that double, you just set it back a little bit because you want to give yourself a chance to make the shot, and that's what happened there for Luke Violet. And now
Or something. I mean,
Dropkin smells blood in the water here, I think.
yeah, you can make this double.
Yeah, this end is
sitting forward.
flipped on its head for Team Casper after being in total control halfway through. All of a sudden looking at giving up a 3, a 4.
Yeah, 4 is
Possibly
definitely possible now without some good shots from Danny Casper. But yeah, this was another one that turned around quickly. Makes after misses, right, Tyler? We always talk about that.
That's correct. And how bad is your miss, and
Yeah.
What do you do on your next one?
How good is your make?
So, Dean, where would you like this stone here on Stepera's in-turn draw? Where's your ideal location?
Well, I think they want to just half tuck it, almost like it's a sort of a Christmas tree, but half tuck behind that one in the 8-foot. I like that. It should be fully behind the guard then, so probably force Casper to make a decision. This rock looks like it has a bit of curling to do.
It's not one you want to leave on the back of the button.
We don't want to leave Danny, and what he's left is an opportunity for Casper to, well, he's looking at the angle run, but he could freeze his way out of this.
Yeah, that triple is there, but yeah,
what is it, half? Less?
The freeze could definitely kill this end for Dropkin. It would have to be made perfectly, though, Dean, because they have that rock in the top of the 8-foot.
True enough.
So the slash would come in. If it bumps at all, there'd be separation. If it's short, there'd be separation.
So with the freeze, you're probably having Dropkin just slash it in.
Yeah, but
that's an auto shot for Korey if he plays that freeze. So
really need to make sure you get rid of at least 2 yellows here. Like to get rid of 3, but
half.
I think half thin half probably loses all 3 here, which would be a major victory for Casper after the way this end was shaping up. And again, rock placement now on the Dropkin side of things, where that rock, if that's in the top of the 8-foot, there aren't a lot of options for Danny to get out of this end. Now all of a sudden, a possible triple to limit the damage, and probably worst case only give up a 2 because that other counter should be open even if they bury on their last.
Casper's settling in, doesn't know if he really likes it here, though. He's going to come down for a little more conversation with Chase Sinnott. I don't know how good this looks from the hack. Might be one thing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get to the other end and doesn't look that great. They're going to talk about this freeze.
Just throw draw weight.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, this is one that you want to over curl if you can get it all the way in there, as close to that one in the top 8s as you can almost.
And they're going to play the freeze, and you're right, Tyler. If you can over curl, then that slash isn't that helpful. I mean, it would certainly prevent that. But
like 15
nervy shot here for Danny Casper. He got in the hack, didn't like the look of that angle run. And he's going to try to play this freeze and get out of the end with the perfect freeze.
Yeah, I think he wants to jiggle a little bit, too, if he can get to the right line at least. If it's not going to curl enough that a bump helps and creates maybe a little bit of a pocket, then you want it to be dead frozen. But if he can get to nose or even a hair inside a nose with this draw, then again, that slash might not be as helpful.
Of course, the real danger here would be heavy and bouncing off and open.
And they said before the shot, let's throw draw weight, and we can sweep for a bump. So this has got to curl a mile.
Got some curling to do. Needs to curl a long way at the moment. Not quite sure whether to sweep for curl or weight.
Yeah, it's a tough decision there. You don't want to bounce off, but it has to curl at the same time.
One of the in-betweens when you like to sweep for curl, but you need it to slow down. So now Korey Dropkin, if he can get to the inside of that, really makes it tough for Danny Casper in his last.
I think Korey's going to take a little extra time before they throw this, because this line looks familiar once again with what they played earlier.
Also an opportunity here. I mean, when you have an opportunity to possibly score a number like 5, certainly a shot to take a little more time with. Interesting how Mark Fenner, he's often the one who comes down and discusses things a little more with his team. Tom Howell in the John Landsteiner role, where he stays at the far end.
Thing, yeah.
So at least there's that.
Howell,
that's
as you
good
know, from
team
New
organization.
Jersey.
Yep. Someone mentioned that earlier. I don't
Did
remember
they?
where
Did they
it
really
came
mention
from.
that earlier, Tyler? That Howell grew up?
He's from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, he's apparently from New Jersey.
All right.
So yeah, if Korey gets to the inside here, he can jiggle those a little bit too. But if he ever gets inside and
he makes it,
I think they're just going to play a little more weight at this, and they're willing to possibly lose one of their own to make sure this rock goes.
I think you're right. They're a little unsure about the spot maybe still. I think they are going to, judging from that broom, they're going to throw it a little harder than we might have expected.
That looks like at least normal pass with that broom, I think.
And I guess not too concerned if they lose one of those yellows.
Always over curl, like that's gonna over curl. If anything.
Yeah, it looks like maybe just control even with that weight.
Howell's got the brush down. Well, this was a spot where Korey's floated earlier, so maybe they're just a little. Now they got Fenner trying to work it over. It's real close to being very good, but doesn't move it far enough.
Far enough to sit 3.
Far enough to sit 3, and certainly with a lonely red in there. Of course, there is an opportunity here for Casper to freeze on that top one, I think, and at least limit the damage. But can't quite hear what Danny's thinking, but maybe we can if we listen in just for a moment here. Luke Violette down there to talk about it.
Well, if we end up here. Four, we're down 2, so. So what's the call here? And if it's there, it's fine.
If you call here and it's looking really nice, then we go here.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather make sure we don't accidentally just take a risk and making something.
Yeah.
So I'd rather call for the shot.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. Here.
Yeah.
So I think they're discussing just a straight freeze, forcing Korey to draw for 3. Do you think that's what they've settled on, Tyler?
I don't know that they have much option besides that, really.
I don't think so either. They'd probably feel pretty good if they could escape from here with a 3.
Like 5 feet left.
And it won't be an easy draw either.
No.
With the angle. It's possible that they could just hit that back red and sit 3 as well with Dropkin's last.
True.
If this freeze is made, but very precise still, and I really don't think there's another place to go for Danny. If you absolutely had to try to cut them to 1, you could try to play the intern freeze to the backstop. But there's such a small area to throw that in that would be any good that this gives you a little more margin for error. You could even tap it a little bit, and it doesn't really hurt you because of the angle.
Get it there.
So I think this is the correct shot, yes.
They're on it. It's still, again, this spot
just
continue to look like they have room to curl.
Has to get to the 4-foot.
Leaves it just short. So that leaves Dropkin with a hit for 4.
Yeah, that was one where you had a little margin for error on the deep side, too. If that does tap a little bit, you're still sitting 3rd count and probably was at an angle that you're forcing to a 3 at worst.
So he's got this is straight draw for 4, or he can hit like the hit you described. The hit actually has, because as he goes to throw it, of course, we're announcing the raffle, Tyler. We got it?
That raffle that you mentioned earlier.
To the ice level through the stairs at section 119.
All right, so as we're announcing the raffle, Korey Dropkin settles in. Korey settles in to throw this hit. He actually can hit and roll just about anywhere inside. He might catch the end of his.
Lord.
I'm glad it's a professional like Korey Dropkin throwing this right now, because we got some excitement here with the raffle. I did talk to the players about this in advance, and they were all on board. So
Dean was really hoping that he'd win this raffle too, so that no matter what, the money stayed in USA Curling's
exactly.
pocket.
Dropkin, they're just easing this one down, and that's going to be a routine hit for 4 for Korey Dropkin. Call that 4. Korey Dropkin, 4 yellow.
Well, I appreciate these teams making sure we got some action to call for the first 5 ends of the tournament, too. A 6-4 lead for Team Dropkin after 5 ends, after putting up that 4 in the 5th. We head to the break now. Again, the score, Dropkin 6, just scored 4.
Right.
Casper 4.
Let's say you're in high school and there's a sport you like, but sometimes you think, you know, it might be cool to try a new sport.
Twin Cities Orthopedics is ready to go with more doctors, specialty services, and convenient urgent care locations. Ready, set, TCO.
So the fifth end break is brought to you by Warm Room Hero, the intuitive curling club software that takes the stress out of schedules, registrations, and more. Warm Room Hero platform built for curlers by curlers. Check out Warm Room Hero at curling.club today. Dean, an action-packed first half.
Really was.
It's too bad that you couldn't see the raffle draw. Dean actually raced down to the ice and checked Marius Kleinis out of the way as he was sweeping that stone for that lady to make sure that money stays home with RNGB.
So great of our players. Marius Kleinis on the adjacent sheet. So the woman who won the raffle to throw the rock to win the pot, if she puts it on the button, puts in the rings, we'll give her something from Columbia. I think we're going to have to give them some parting gift there for just getting out on the ice. But that was fun. Thanks to Marius for doing that. We're going to do that every draw. So that's interesting. And every fifth end break will be brought to you by Warm Room Hero.
Now, I was told that the prize for throwing the rock halfway down the sheet was a 2012 Team USA Gemmel jersey from the World Championships.
Yeah, well, when you only go to one World Championship, Tyler, you're a little stingy with them. So,
why do you think I accepted that coaching position? Yeah. I got to get more of those jerseys.
I've given a couple away, but the rest I got to keep so my kids know I did something on the curling ice once. So that was fun, though, actually, I think, that little fifth end draw. We have curling gurus here, Tyler, who are going throughout the stands. They're available. They're members of the Rock Creek Curling and the Denver Curling Club out here, and they will answer questions from people who don't know much about curling. You want to know the impetus for this, Tyler?
I would love to, please.
So my first national championship, 2010, we were playing against Pete Fenson, and it was the second game of the event, I think. We were on the outside sheet. And because
2010, you said, right?
2010.
That was my team fencing.
Yeah, you were, and I hasten to add here, now that you brought that up, Tyler, we beat you in that game. You went on to win the Nationals, but we beat you in that game. But I was talking to the people, it was on the outside sheet, so as I did a lot when I played, I would talk to all the people sitting next to the sheet, and I was explaining the game throughout there were about 4 guys who said they'd never been to curling before. So I was explaining the game as we played. And then finally, about the third or even fourth end, one of them said to me, "Hey, when do you stop practicing and start playing?" So I said, you know what? We need to make sure people understand what's going on, because I don't know if he thought because I was so willing to explain the game.
I think that probably factored in. Yeah.
He thought, surely.
Is this the coach over here that's talking through this really long practice?
Surely you can't be serious if he's talking and explaining so much.
Obviously, it didn't affect things too much as you still beat us.
We did. Yeah, that was an exciting game. You guys went on to win that championship. But Thomas Howell opening things up here in the fifth end with the center line guard.
And Tom, as a veteran, realizes that, and we're going to say this, I'm going to try to say this, I think, every single game that I call this tournament. It's faster coming out of the break in the sixth end. So John Landsteiner, it's faster out of the break. Always remember.
Yeah, if you're a lead at this level, they come out with a mop in between, and it comes out a little quicker.
Okay.
And you'll often see the less experienced player put that first one right into the rings.
Yeah, I think Chase might be helping out my call here by throwing this one in the house.
Looks like he may be. They're right off this now, begging it to slow down a bit. I think it will stop in time.
It does stop. All right. So both teams read that well. And that is a significant difference after the break too, Dean. That's not something that happens occasionally. There always is a little bit of a speed difference after that mop in the break, and you see a lot of inexperienced players who are playing in competitions where maybe they don't have that break all the time, throwing that first stone or first couple stones of the sixth ed deep where they feel like they were right where they needed to be, but ends up coasting a little bit farther.
Howell with his second. It looks like it has some curling to do. The weight looks close, but didn't finish quite as much. I think they're going to get it almost edge to edge. Casper's going to elect to ignore that stone. Down 6-4. He wants to generate some offense quickly here in the sixth end.
Chase Sinnott, second stone of the sixth end. Playing the out-turn
Close,
draw underneath
Line's
their
good.
corner guard.
Line's good. Good. Curl. Curl. It's not moving. Hard.
Needs to finish
Hard,
quite a
even if
bit
it's
to get
deep.
anywhere near
Hard.
that guard.
Hard. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Trying to finish so that part of it gets underneath as far back as they can carry this.
Yeah, they don't care too much about how far back it is. They want it buried. See if Andrew Stopera thinks they can dig it out. I think he does.
Looks like they have maybe half of that stone, maybe a little more from the hack.
So they'll play this. He'll ask Fenner to throw this with quiet weight, and Dropkin on it early here. Trying to hold the line. Can they get by that guard? This is why we got Korey on the brush, they're saying. And it does get by. So the question is now, does Korey tell Andrew that Andrew wouldn't have gotten that one by?
Whether he says it now or after the game, he's going to hear about it
at
some point. And I would fully expect that, too. A great sweep by new sweeper Korey Dropkin. Should be fresh for this tournament.
Whoa, whoa,
You know,
whoa,
Korey, of course, played with my old teammate Heath McCormick, lost the 2018 Olympic Trials final, playing second against you. That's when a lot of us recognized Korey's sweeping ability.
Whoa!
You and John Schuster, Matt Hamilton, and John Landsteiner went on to win a gold medal after winning the best 2 out of 3. I think you also dropped the first game in that one as well, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
Schuster's done that 2 years in a two trials in a row.
A little bit,
Yeah, I don't remember in 2014 if he lost the first or second game to Fenson, but they did play a third game in that one as well. So if they lost the first one to Pete in that one, then it was 3 consecutive best of 3 finals where John lost the first game.
The only thing I remember about that is the last they won by a lot, didn't they? The final one in that year? I think
it was a destruction. Yes.
Dropkin trying to work this over.
It's always a good sign when you play major competitions and nobody can recall which ones you lost. They remember the last one.
So Casper will elect to hit this one in the rings. Dropkin line 2.
Yes.
Real turn of events there. Fifth end break. When you go come out of the fifth end break, grabbing a 4 ball. Such a difference when you didn't get that. You know, when you give up the 4, you're in the that fifth end break isn't a ton of fun.
Hit and stick made there by Richardson.
It's a nose on that. Ben does.
And obviously a good coaching moment at the break for Jordan Moulton with her team too. That
second one was
really
better,
Danny and his guys outplayed Dropkin for 80-90% of that first 5, and they find themselves down by 2. So you really have to stay calm and remind your team then, hey, we're outplaying them 1 through 4. We've been the better team. We just made a couple mistakes, and it really piled up on us in one end. But if you just keep playing the way you are, keep making shots, don't be concerned about the scoreboard, be concerned about the fact that your team is playing well enough to win. You just missed a couple poorly at the wrong times.
It's a good point. This rock has some curling to do here. Looks like it's going to finish now, though. Going to roll away. They don't mind rolling away like that. You know, it rolled out. Probably would have liked to stuck it around.
You see Casper again ignoring that rock in the top 8s. Dean, I think I might disagree with it at this point in the end now, even though it's thirds first. It's not terribly late. You can't put a rock under this corner that's going to be shot rock. So there's a very good chance that this is buried. That team Dropkin will be content to continue to play to the middle and play for the steal because your worst case scenario at this point for Team Dropkin is giving up a 2, even ignoring this stone.
Good.
You're right. Rather than chase that, we'll see what they do here as that rock settles in. Well thrown by Luke Violet. It's directly behind the corner guard. They're going to have a look at it. Anderson Parrott talking
Corey's
about
following.
So they're going to follow down. I think there was some talk about coming around to center line guard again, but
Whistling a little flat these days.
And this is where you can get yourself into a situation where 3 comes into play by playing this shot. Say this rock over curls underneath the corner, doesn't outcount the red. Now there's a chance for maybe a little hack weight hit and roll on the center for Team Casper, and both of their stones would be completely buried. So very important for rock placement on this shot for Dropkin. Keep this one above that back stone. Whether it's frozen or not, needs to be above it. And this really coasting right now, not the side you want to be on.
they're not touching this at all.
Sweepers
And
have
this
peeled
is
all
one
the way
that
off.
right off it, and that's going to slide deep. How deep is the question? And too deep for Team Dropkin.
And that's that line, too, that we mentioned earlier, Dean, about the center line going out for Sean Olison and Dave Staviteg's ice that we've seen for over a decade at our nationals. And, you know, playing to that, remembering that you're going to have that speed. And the center line going out usually is the fastest line on any sheet regardless.
Yep.
But that really
Whoa.
coasted there,
Yes.
and that's a shot where you absolutely cannot
Please.
be that
Whoa.
deep.
Curl. Whoa. Curl, curl.
On and off
Roll it.
this.
Big roll.
Now trying to make it
Larkin.
curl at the end here.
That's a
Good.
good
So
goal.
all of a sudden now Casper has great separation on 2 stones in the rings.
Nice.
Yeah, hard to not see Casper with a 2 at this point without a miss. There's not a whole lot that Team Dropkin can do to avoid 2.
Not a lot of options to neutralize, that's for sure. Have to play this hit here. I mean, they'll try for the big roll, but
I like that board
And
weight.
again, it's different when there's a miss, obviously, too. But very surprised that Korey didn't change gears and play to the center and play for a possible steal and keep the pressure on Team Casper in that situation.
yeah, of course, hindsight's 2020, but that did seem like a one option for sure.
Well, at least we mentioned it before the miss.
True enough, you did.
Yeah, your sound doesn't
Afterwards,
travel at
that's
all.
the easy call to make.
We will remind everyone as well that the other games are available through Curling Stadium. So without our dulcet tones, this looks like it's going to be too thin.
Start of the
Definitely want to
there
stick
again.
around.
Yeah. Either that or you can try here.
Now there's
like
an opportunity
there.
for Casper to come around and really put some pressure on
If he
Team
wants to
Dropkin.
draw under the
Yeah, this
center, let him.
brings 3 into the picture for Team Casper now as well. Looks like they may elect to draw to the outside and
Right
take
on
the
the
2.
T-line.
You agree with this, Dean? There's
Sorry,
definitely an
this one.
opportunity for 3 if you come around that center guard.
I'd like to go around the center myself. I know that they might be concerned that if they make it, there's a way for Korey to freeze to it and make a draw for too tough. But I think I like coming around the center here, Tyler. I don't know about you, but
This was a constant argument we had for 3 years with our squad that John and I and Matt as well was vocal about it. We love playing the come around to try to score 3 in these situations. Our coaching staff was adamant that you make sure of the 2. But with the scoreboard, especially in this situation, with a chance to retake the lead, I think that draw into the center would probably be the correct play.
yeah, I would agree. There is a theory that you secure the 2.
Stop if you need.
But yeah, I mean, I think you get 2 here and it's tied with, without hammer. Certainly getting 3 is a much bigger opportunity. One thing about this too is it does give Korey basically, they're going to take it a little bit deeper. But there is a roll there. He just threw this and it over curled.
Yeah, a little
Okay,
surprised they didn't sweep that one a little more. I mean, you don't have a lot of margin for error on the outside of the house, but the deeper that rock goes, then the less room Dropkin has to roll into the center.
Yeah, they could have played it a little closer to center and made it 8 foot or even deeper than that. They were running out of rings, so they couldn't take it too deep. Yeah, Dropkin does have a chance here to make this hit and roll. He just had one over curl here, but throwing the out turn, Korey Dropkin.
Thanks to Cam Rittenauer up here in the booth with us here with Curling Stadium for bringing me a delicious Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Working a pop in for not a current sponsor, but hopefully a prospective.
Yeah, that
our
would be
CEO
tremendous, Tyler. Maybe we'll just mention this is close to the roll, but going to be a little too thin again, I think.
Yeah, that was kind of a free go at the roll for Korey. You do want to make your opponent have to make something against the two, but a wide open hit, I think you expect your opponent to make that shot even in the first game of the tournament. So I like Korey playing aggressive at that roll and trying to make it as difficult as he can.
I'd agree. That's not a time to be conservative on the roll. You play hard for that roll, and
yeah, you can fault that one. That's one where the rollout is excusable because the only way you give yourself a decent chance at a force or a possible steal is to make that roll behind the center. Otherwise, regardless of if it's the open draw or the open hit, it's a very straightforward shot for Danny Casper.
So Danny Casper with a draw for 2 here to knot the score at 6-6 as we come to the conclusion of the 6th end.
I felt like less.
Casper typically would be one of the taller players in the field, but he is one of the tallest, but he might even be the tallest, except we have Jared Allen over in the adjacent sheet, who I was speaking to earlier today and made me feel like I was 8.
That was a kind
and well-thrown shot there.
There you go. Danny Casper draws for 2, so game back on. Nice bounce back for Team Casper.
Casper does indeed get 2 and 6 to tie the score once again. 6-6 after 6 ends. Danny Casper and Korey Dropkin in the opening draw of the 2023 USA Curling National Championships.
Just because you're not a professional athlete doesn't mean that you should accept less. The beauty about what Thorn does is our product quality is the same whether they're in the athletic line or whether they're just for the everyday person. Thorn has kept true to never compromising on quality, never compromising on efficacy, never compromising on safety for not only athletes but for everyone who would use their products.
Back in Denver, and number 7 of the opening draw of the 2023 Men's National Championships. Team Casper versus Team Dropkin. Tyler George in the booth here with USA Curling Interim CEO Dean Gemmel. And Dean, at the break, may have seen a little ad for Thorn, a product that our athletes use. Tell us a little more about them.
Yeah, Thorn is, they make vitamin supplements, whole host of things, a lot for high performance athletes for sure, but there are products for everybody. And if you buy it through the store on the USA Curling website, if you go to shop and go to the Thorn products, you get about the lowest price anywhere you'd find. Well, sure, lower than anywhere. So if you're want to support USA Curling and get a good deal at the same time, that's the way to do it. Good company, good products, and if you use anything that they sell, you might want to consider theirs.
I always appreciated the fact with Thorn that they had a $5 million insurance policy on if you could prove you failed a test to their products. That's not a bad fallback if you're not competing. And we talked about that as athletes. Like, that wouldn't be the worst situation to end up in.
I think they may have a clause that limits it only to athletes who are still competing. I'm not sure, but yeah,
I wasn't expecting that treatment now in the booth. No,
they are quite focused on the purity of their products, and they seem to do a good job of it. So 2 guards up, and 1 Dropkin counter just outside the 4-foot.
Yeah, and this is definitely a move that Team Casper discussed leading into this tournament about ending up in these situations. And Dean, we talk so much about what point in the game you start to play what we call even end hammer, where you're trying to have the hammer in the 8th and the 10th, obviously playing the scoreboard as well. But the 7th end is really where you start thinking seriously about that in a 10-end game, where Team Casper wants to force Team Dropkin to have to score a point or to be able to steal themselves. So a blank opportunity for Dropkin would mean that they then take Hammer in a tie game in the 8th, and they probably have Hammer twice in 3 ends. So the second center really forcing the action, trying to make sure that someone scores in this end. And a victory for Casper would be Dropkin taking a point, or a steal for Casper. Dropkin looking at 0 or 2 or more points.
Well, broken down there. Yeah, you often heard, somebody used to always talk about that was Kevin Martin having 2 hammers to their 1, etc. So
that was our plan in the Olympic final. We thought 2 hammers to 1 was good. We were tied up playing 8 with hammer. We just scored enough in 8. We didn't really have to worry about it after that, which makes things a lot easier. But we were in a very similar situation where the 7th end, we were ahead by 1 without hammer, so it wasn't tied. But our goal was to force Team Sweden to score a point or to get a steal ourselves, and that's exactly what happened. So that's the situation we got ourselves in, tied up with hammer in a 3-end game, in essence, where, as Kevin Martin said, you probably get 2 hammers to their 1.
So Mark Fenner trying to come around there and is a little light and chaps off the guard. Does cover their own stone a little bit more, but not the outcome they were looking for. Gives Casper a chance now to draw around.
It's going to be interesting to see, Dean, throughout this tournament, if that particular line ends up being as tricky as it seems to have been for both teams here, where we've seen a lot of draws over curl and die on the center line, but we've seen a lot of them hang out where they have to carve them to try to get them to curl too. And the difference in the line that they're taking for those shots doesn't seem to be a lot, maybe a half a foot overall.
Here's another one that needs to do some curling.
It's going.
Obviously it's the first night, and some adjustments will be made by Sean Olson and his crew, and some of it related just to weather and temperature in the building, etc. So certainly some learning going on for the ice crew, and we'll see how things change. But it's certainly a great surface still. But yeah, there's a couple spots here that are giving the teams a little bit of extra challenge.
Really well-placed stone there by Ben Richardson and the sweepers.
And lots of late finish on that one. It was well out there. They finished it right to the corner. Now Fenner trying to come back from his miss with a good one here. Wait, looks like it's close.
To get what?
They really want to get to the inside if they can. Korey Dropkin on the inside trying to work it over, and he does. Great shot there by Mark Fenner to set up a different angle now.
They can out-turn to here. All right, see you later. Just top 4. Half in the 4.
But Danny's looking for top 4, half in the 4 foot. Interesting how Chase Senator holds the broom for Danny Casper shots. And even though Luke Violette is the 3rd, Chase went down to have a discussion. Certainly Luke, from what I know of him, is really smart about the house, but they've sort of stuck with this.
Easy.
So Chase is the consult.
Whoa, it's really hanging.
Yeah, it was a lot of discussion within that team about how they were going to line things up throughout the season. The success that they've had, it's hard to argue with.
Just to hear, guys.
But really, when you have that much talent on the squad, it's just about once you make a decision about what your role is going to be, doing the best you can to fulfill that role. You have to trust that your coach, and you see a great draw there by Luke Violette. That's a really well-placed stone.
That's exactly where Danny asked for it, half in the 4 foot.
Yeah, you trust your coaching staff that they make the correct decisions about lineups and who should play where. And, Dean, we've played on teams where maybe we didn't trust our staffs that much. So it can be a little bit of a frustrating process for the players. But once that decision is made, regardless of if you as a player agree with your role, the only way that the team succeeds going forward is if you just do the best you can to fill that role that you're in. And I think it says a lot about the young men on this squad, for Luke Violette in particular, moving out of that position, that he's accepted this role and really thrived in it too. And sometimes taking that step back into a 3rd position, as I can attest to from playing with John Schuster, kind of frees you up to just go out and play, just throw rocks make things as easy as possible as you can in your squad. And I really enjoyed that spot. You see that great
run back there.
Andrew Stapera.
Just move this.
There's a lot of rocks around and expose those rocks in the center. Casper's going to make a play here now. So certainly move things to an advantageous position, but still good opportunity here for Casper to put rocks in good place. Interesting, Andrew Stopera, his father was a national championship. Luke Violette throwing this stone. His father was also a national champion. And Tom Violette, now the director, general manager of the new curling facility in Traverse City, Tyler, which just opened. Exciting to see them make that a reality.
I'm really looking forward to getting out and seeing that facility too. Haven't been there as of yet, but I have worked with Don Peach and the people out in Traverse City in the past, and really hard-working crew. Excited about the sport, and I trust that nothing but good things will happen for the sport with the people out there.
So Andrew asking how much of that rock is available to him. We're talking through a couple different scenarios here. I think they've decided they think they can get to the inside of this one. It's a long guard, so.
And this is right in that fall line that we've seen too. Whether or not this will turn over or not, I think mid-eights is right where we've seen it, so it might be just a hair outside of that line. Very touchy spot. See if Stapera can finesse this enough. Really don't want to pop it at all because it may run. But enough room, as you said, Dean, with that guard being as high as it is, that you have a little more margin for error than what it looks like based on how much of the rock you can see.
Fenner's on it early here, trying to hold the line. Must be close now. They're on and off.
Yeah, they really like the line here.
They like it. Now they're going to see Hal motioning that the weight's a little quiet. Now Hal's going to try to work it over.
That's
probably
very
could have
nice
worked
shot.
it over a little bit earlier, but that's pretty good.
And a good position to have as well, too. Top of the forefoot. Difficult for Casper to get inside without throwing maybe a heavy draw just to chip and roll in.
They actually had more room by the guard than I think they thought they would have early as that rock traveled down the ice. But it's better than edge to edge, I think. So not going to look great for Danny when he's in the hack.
Did you ever think about hitting that rock on the center line here, Dean, and just trying to leave the shooter right there, double those two off?
Yeah, I think that's actually a good option, Tyler. We'll see what they think here if we can listen in a bit.
It's a lot buried though. You gotta throw like just hack probably, which is fine, but like this. Right, yeah. I mean, you make like a slash and maybe make a double. Because now we can't. Because this is.
Nice little break listening in. An excellent opportunity to have another sip of this delicious Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
Zero sugar you got going on there, Tyler.
Zero
now they're
sugar.
going to call a timeout here. A lot of discussion. I sort of like your thought here, Tyler, of hitting that yellow in the center. They haven't really discussed that.
Yeah, the biggest issue with it is that your shooter is definitely not going to outcount that yellow stone on the wing.
Right.
We'll listen a little more if we can hear what
their coach Jordan Moulton making her way down to the other end.
My 2019 mixed state champion teammate Jordan Moulton. Last competitive thing I did mixed with her. My sister Courtney Benson and Derek Benson here in the building.
Which might.
Look in her eyes.
I really don't like that. No.
I'm going to say if anybody from Dr. Pepper is listening, that's a quality zero
what about
sugar Dr. Pepper, Tyler. But here they are. They're talking about what they do here.
Well, yeah, but just, yeah. Yeah.
I think we need to ignore that visual scan.
Yeah.
Now they are talking about the shot you considered, Tyler.
Them or for us? Double. All right. What kind of weight? Normal?
And I think that's what they're settling on. Throw the normal hit. Make that double. And lie 2-3.
Well, make sure we remove one.
Yeah, and so much of what you accomplish with this shot, Dean, is the positioning. That you have this spot
make
on
sure
the
one
center
gets out.
line for your last for Danny Casper. It's something you can use regardless of what Team Dropkin decides to do.
Normal.
But very important that this ends up staying
playing
right
the
in that
nose way,
spot.
yeah.
Rolling away a little
low,
bit,
right?
may leave a double back
Should run straight.
for Team Dropkin.
And he thinks it'll run straight here. I mean, one of the
Curl more than yours.
I actually misspoke there. I think they would lie 1 and 3.
Hair less, Chase.
If they make the double, stick it right there. They'll lie 1 and 3. As for your hair less ice, Danny Casper in the hack. Big shot, 6-6 game, 7th end.
Nope.
Dropkin with last rock.
Curl. Straight.
Intern pass for Danny Casper. And looking to make this double.
Lots of back and forth between curl and straight, so you know it's close. There's the double, and he's going
That's
to lie.
a very
2-3
nice
or
shot.
1 and 3.
That's about the best result
Oh yeah.
Team Casper could hope for there. And well thought out, too. Good discussion from the team to get
Almost
to that
got that
point. And thumbs up to Coach Moulton for helping the squad come to that decision, too.
Well, a couple of good things to talk about there. First, they took some time with the decision. They initially only really saw that out turn, talked about having it come in that shot, and then Jordan came out and confirmed that. So, good process.
Breathe it, boy.
It's like a very cheap mint green.
So now, Korey Dropkin, we can listen in on hear what they think.
I like Daryl's haircut. I feel like he always wears a hat.
He often wears a hat.
And I don't know what his hair looks like.
Not hearing a lot from them.
I vibe with that. Good job.
I believe from my NBC days, Dean, if I remember right, this is called laying it out, letting it go, and listening in.
Letting it breathe?
Yeah, something I had to get used to instead of talking over the people we actually want to hear talking about.
Yeah, let it breathe sometimes is good. I think we might get a little more clarity in the mics going forward. We can sort of...
Right.
All right, so Dropkin, I think he's going to hit and try to roll under here. Lie 2. I'd like to roll to a spot where he doesn't leave some sort of double or easy slash.
Like we'd rather them nose or roll away.
Yeah.
Dropkin out of originally from Massachusetts, makes his home in Duluth, Minnesota now. Product of the Broomstones Curling Club in Wayland.
Important rock placement again here. If this rock rolls to a pocket, there'll be a pretty straightforward run double for
Looks
Casper.
like he's just going to get to nose.
Half right.
Nose is pretty good there, I think, Tyler.
That's a good spot, yeah.
I mean, there's certainly a chance for Casper to roll to a spot and leave Dropkin only a slash to get him out and probably get one in that scenario.
But I don't like that.
That's no easy hit and roll either, because that Yellowstone is better than edge to edge, is it not? And that's the spot where we saw Andrew Stopera. They thought it was closer to the guard than it was, and he ended up just getting to there. It's almost to dead nose.
No,
I think you're pretty much set on
it won't roll shot, but you probably
conceding that you're going to give up a chance for 2, regardless of what you play. There is a shot that I don't think is worth the risk, where you could throw peel, try to catch a quarter of your own red stone and get both yellow out.
He's got plenty of room.
That's
Without
exactly
it being
what
a
they're...
desperation situation, I don't know that I'd play it, but
That is what they're talking about. You sort of hair that red, right? And
playing this nose hit here,
you're
you're going to make it difficult for Dropkin to score 2. You're going to allow them to sit 1, but the draw path for either shot And the out-turn draw is probably going to be your best option
It's
for
fine if
Dropkin
you
on his
do,
last.
but it's not
Right.
It still
gonna
won't be
do
an easy draw, and if
It's not gonna
you
hurt
do
us, though.
manage to hold
Yeah.
them to one, you've accomplished your purpose in
Nose.
this end by forcing them
Just
to a
control
point.
it.
I
That was
agree
like a
with this
9
call.
my
It,
last one.
it may look a little conservative, but there really isn't a great option outside of this. And I
So
think
that
it's your
nose
best
hit by
chance.
Dropkin was actually, I think, better than any roll. So
Yeah, they kind of stumbled
Hard.
into the best spot.
So Violet
Hard.
trying to work this one over. He would like to stick it right on the nose there, at least to force Dropkin to that out-turn draw. I don't know if it will, though. It looks like it's going to roll open. So now Dropkin should have the in-turn draw. Andrew Stopera motions Korey. This is where we'd like it in the forefoot. Full forfeit, full forefoot. It's late. Full forefoot and a with a draw for 2 here for Korey
That's it.
Dropkin.
Just want less ice. No one's missed
I slid really wide.
When it's a straight
Here, Danny Casper in the background there saying he thought he slid wide. It's always nice when you hear top players say they do things like that.
Yeah, accountability matters a lot to your teammates.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. I can handle a physical mistake and error any day as long as the accountability is there. And it helps so much, Dean, when you can figure out why you missed the shot because of the honesty and straightforwardness of the person that made the mistake.
Well, Dropkin's brushers with the heads down here. Can they get it there? It's getting a
This has
little
gotta
tight
go
to
to
the
get
red
by.
guard. They got to get it by that guard. They need enough weight, and they got to get by that guard. And well swept by Powell and Fenner to get
That's
2
a
for
fantastic
Dropkin.
sweep by the front end there.
Two of
That's
the
what all
better
that time in the
sweepers.
gym is worth, boys. So well swept. Fenner and Howell helping guide that stone in for second point for Team Dropkin. They now lead after 7 ends, 8-6 over Team Casper. Beginning of the 8th end, the opening draw of 2023 Men's National Championships in Denver, Colorado from the Denver Coliseum. Tyler George here
Mine's
with
okay.
Dean Gemmel in the booth at the
Mine's
start of
good.
the 8th end. Another opportunity to tell you about Warm Room
Mine's
Hero.
good.
More than just software run by curlers
Mine's good.
dedicated to building long-term relationships with
Curl
your
a little
club.
bit. Curl.
Warm Room Hero provides continuous support to ensure
Yep.
your
Keep
website
it moving.
exceeds your members' expectations.
Curl still.
Check out Warm Room Hero
Keep
today
going. Good
at
sweep, guys.
curling.club for special event pricing. Dean, talk to us about that partnership now, because you're going to be hearing a lot about Warm Room Hero this weekend.
Well,
Happy
now
to
Warm Room
explain.
Hero, Anthony Darko out of Chicago. It's his platform. He's got a lot of experience building software platforms. So there's his QR code. And yeah, excited to have him on board. And he's just launched it. It was used at the Kettle Moraine Club this past season successfully. That was his pilot. So good for him for trying to improve, make it a little easier for clubs to manage their process. We could quickly give some updates, actually. Jason Smith's stole
like
2
even
in the
top
7th
12.
end to take a 5-4 lead over John Schuster. Schuster will have the hammer in 8.
That one will raise a few eyebrows, paying attention to that as we watch this game as well.
Definitely. And Scott Dunham is up 6-4 over Daryl Sobering, local team Daryl Sobering. They're trailing 6-4. Dunham has the hammer there. They're playing the 8th end. And Samson Ruinen,
Easy then.
it is tied up
leave it a little
4-4
higher.
as they play the
Just
8th
top
end.
12's fine. Got a
and
curl.
I believe
Got a curl.
Ruinen has hammer.
Okay, you gotta go, Ben. Yep.
Jumping back to War Room Hero as well,
Keep
Dean.
going.
I've worked extensively with
Whoa, you're good.
Anthony and
Good,
Christina
Chase.
Darko out of the Windy City Curling Club. Wonderful people. I would trust anything that Anthony puts out there. And great partnership for USA Curling having them on board.
So this game topsy-turvy for sure. Big 4-ball there. A lot of 2s and 4s. No singles here. No blanks. So teams going after it.
We do have one blank. Second
we
end,
did have a blank.
but
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's
pretty
a million
obvious if
points ago, so it's hard to remember.
Pretty obvious though when you're looking at the scoreboard, but I was not.
But yes, the lack of a single point end to this point. We like this kind of action. Fun to call in the booth. Rocks in play. Hasn't been perfectly played both ways. There have been some errors in key spots, but not something to be unexpected early in the tournament especially. And some very good shots in key situations. We've seen Andrew Stapera make a couple of
He might roll to a
clearing
decent
shots
spot.
to open things up.
Still
Danny
peel.
Casper with some nice finesse shots to set up those 2s that they scored. So plenty of shot making surrounding those misses that we've seen, and a fun one to watch, Dean. Fun one to call.
One of my things about exciting curling,
Yes,
Tyler, is
yes,
you need
yes,
made shots
yes.
and a few misses. So a few
Whoa.
misses actually make a game interesting. But
No.
So we've had a few of those.
See Ben
That
Richardson opening things up and
gets a little lucky there with where that stuck
moved the
around.
stone, but still stuck in the house.
The only thing was it was buried behind the corner there, so now it's
This
still
will be
parallel.
a straightforward call for Stapera and Team Dropkin. Hitting and sticking on this rock in the back of the 12-foot to sit 2, and without hammer, trying to eliminate any possibility of Team Casper scoring 2 points. And with that stone in the top of the 8-foot underneath the center guard, they have a great position already. So a pretty safe play. Hit this stone. I would have liked to maybe stick around in the back of the house too, but mission mostly accomplished by clearing that rock.
Casper probably will elect, I believe. Yeah, there he goes. He's going to elect to go behind the corner guard again.
And playing this draw, Dean, what that tells us is Team Casper is confident that at some point they'll make that run back and clear those stones in the middle to try to make this stone count, because obviously
Still straight.
there's no way this rock will be a counter for Team Casper unless
Close, Chase.
that yellow Dropkin stone
Okay,
biting the
gotta curl
top
now.
of the 4-foot is cleared at some
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's Sinnott
Keep
trying to
going.
work this one over.
Keep going.
Richardson second.
Whoa.
Does get behind the corner guard.
Good.
That's well played by Ben Richardson.
Dropkin having a look at it. Of course, Andrew Stopera in the hack at the other end. Calls a game but throws third stones. They're going to take on the run back with Stopera.
A little bit of a wobbly start there from Stapera on that delivery.
Yeah, no,
I'm
he
not one to
usually-
judge. I was always an artist. You get there however you can, but
Now
definitely.
we usually see some from Andrew. He throws that big weight pretty easily and makes the peel.
Top 8. Top 8.
Doesn't throw it clean every time like his dad Bill would do, obviously.
I think he'd argue about that, but
Who, Bill or Andrew?
Andrew.
I think Bill would probably argue with it too.
Yeah. Luke Violette here now with his first stone.
Yes. Hard.
I'm going to try to
Of this 8.
get close to this
Hard.
guy, maybe move that rock out from
Hard.
under cover.
Hard.
Still by at this point.
Hard.
The
Keep
sweepers
going. You
get
got
there
it.
to move it.
Hard. Whoa.
Actually, it over curls to
Good.
buried under the guard, which not exactly where they were playing it to, but better than it was for Team Casper. And
Now Dropkin will try to hit and roll behind those rocks that are now actually sort of staggered. So big roll. Long way to roll. Stopera's second here in the 8th end.
Curling 101 again, Dean, hitting that open stone with the 2-point lead in the 8th without hammer. Really just trying to eliminate any possibility of Team Casper scoring 2 points or more.
I will say, Tyler, that I think one of the biggest mistakes recreational curlers make when they play is not playing the scoreboard
They gotta
enough,
do something about
not
it.
adjusting to what the score is. So if you are a recreational player, that's something to think about. Always scoreboard almost first, I think, Tyler.
Just
as a
fighting
recreational player now, I'm going to make
helps?
sure I take notes on that too.
You and me both.
Yeah,
Some
same
discussion
with
here
him
for
now.
Team Casper once again.
I guess. Here's not bad. I don't like that. This is fine.
Casper's dad, Jeff,
Control.
a former president of the Ardsley Curling Club and active there. We'll be at the Ardsley Curling Club shortly for the at-large Club Nationals playdown. Grateful for them for hosting that. Violet now with his last in the 8th end.
Clean. Yep.
I think they're probably trying to get a long roll here if they can, Dean.
Whoa.
That rolls to a really good spot there.
Good.
Violet with another good shot. I think it can be picked, but
Thanks, man.
yeah, well, they think they may be able to hit and stick around. Almost rolled far enough, but still a nervy one here for Korey Dropkin, though.
I'm not sure that there's a better spot they could have rolled to than right where it is. If it does roll all the way to the back of the button, then there's no opportunity for 2 really, with that
True enough.
red-yellow being gunned up to that stone in the back of the button. So I think just about to the inch, that's probably where you wanted that to end up. They may pick it out, but you're making it at least as difficult as you can.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and
for Dropkin to dig that out.
Not a good look from the hack for Korey either. I think, I think they're trying to hit at least as much as they can see here. They throw
Yeah,
away,
he's just playing the straight pick on it. Yeah, which is
Thought
smart.
for a moment they were thinking about straight pick for Korey. He'll pick that out.
I like that call. There's no
I like the
reason
straight
to
pick
get,
too. I saw Andrew once motion that maybe they'd hit and roll over, but I think that's a good play to just pick it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is what are you accomplishing by sticking around?
Right.
What are you trying to do?
that's what we're
with
thinking.
the way it's set up here.
I mean, you're gonna
with this
leave a
run that they're
center
gonna
like
have
if
to
you
play.
if you miss it a little
That
bit.
rock in the wing probably isn't going to
will
come
be
into play
shots.
for
I
you.
mean, he'll hit it, but kind of wait till you like.
Going to say, Tyler, merchandise I'm excited about, almost as excited about as that 5th end draw, but merchandise, we're almost out of hats, apparently. We had a lot of hats. So
Yeah,
that's
the
exciting.
early reports are good on merchandise sales.
High, but
Also did find out that was actually Marius Kleinis' mother who won the raffle.
Well, that makes a lot more sense as to why he
Mary-
was over there sweeping that stone.
Yeah, so Marius jumped over there to sweep it.
It also makes sense as to why she was screaming in his ear to sweep it as he was going. I thought she was just an extremely excited fan trying to get some money, but your son better put everything he's got into that
Yeah,
sweep.
didn't have enough, but here we go. This is Danny Casper, his first. Trying this run back. Close.
Already got it.
Must be close.
Whoa!
I'd like to stick this if they can so that it's still buried. It's pretty good. You can only see a
pretty good.
small piece.
I think they're going to play the pick again, but it's a tougher pick, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shot. Close to perfect.
Andrew's going to look to see if it jams way over in the far side there.
That's very alert by Stapera, too, to check on that. Not forgetting that stone's back there and that there is an outside chance if you hit a quarter of the stone that it may end up jamming and still biting on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, the Yellowstone seems far enough out that it would be problematic. It wouldn't be problematic, but you could also see it coming off that and spinning to the back 12. But the last one was a pick of about half a rock. This is a pick of a sliver.
Steel team.
A very similar throw for Dropkin, so comfortable. He just saw this line. Little fishtail from Korey on that one as well. Made perfectly, though.
Yeah, Korey likes that sort of throw. I think the in-turn down the pipe is one he likes, I think. my recollection of watching him play. I don't
I
have
would agree with
statistical
that.
analysis to prove that. But
I don't need stats in front of me to tell you he's very comfortable throwing that particular shot.
I'll go intuition and say, yeah, that's something he likes.
So a little decision here for Team Casper again. I don't think it's much of a decision in what the correct result would be, like what you want to happen, but they're just making sure on the line, I think, and what kind of weight they want to play at this.
I mean,
but the blank is the likely outcome here, and that's what Casper will be playing. So trying to carry Hammer to 2. Yeah, you're trying to carry Hammer to 9. Obviously, it's not ideal that you only have 2 ends to play down by 2, but they feel that, especially with 5 rock rule, Dean, which we see this decision made this way a lot more, that you'd rather have an opportunity to score 3 maybe later to win a game as opposed to having to steal.
5 rock and no tick rule as well, so that also eliminates, Thomas Howell, a fairly proficient ticker of the stone.
Really trying to turn this over to get enough contact.
He's got just enough. He
just
does.
Enough.
Doesn't stick at the back, so well thrown, well done. And a blank for Team Casper.
So Team Dropkin able to force the blank from Team Casper in the 8th end. They maintain an 8-6 lead leading into the 9th end of this opening draw of the 2023 Men's National Championships.
Twin Cities Orthopedics is ready to go with more doctors, specialty services, and convenient urgent care locations. Ready, set, TCO.
So I'll put my corporate hat on here for a minute, Tyler, and jump right in to mention some.
I don't even get to do a lead in for the end. You're excited for this one.
I'm just too eager to talk about. Well,
I'll have
Columbia,
a sip of my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar while you do this.
Columbia Sportswear, really a terrific sponsor. Great people to work with, outfit our teams, and we have a lot of Columbia official gear. And also their Twin Cities Orthopedics. Some of our athletes train at their training house facilities. And Twin Cities Orthopedics, great operation on the campus of Viking Lakes, which is where our offices are, and they are if you're in the Twin Cities areas and you need I don't know, Tyler, when you need your hip replaced, they're a good option. So all of it.
Leave it high,
yeah, great people though, and happy to have their support. So with that, I'll stop and turn it back over to you, Tyler.
Just doing your job, Dean. That's important stuff,
for sure.
So we are in the 9th end. Team Casper, Team Dropkin. After a blank in the 8th, Dropkin leads 8-6. 2 ends to play. See the beginning of the end, an extremely high corner guard. That one I would say is a Hackner corner, Dean. And for those that know the reference, Al Hackner, 2-time world champion from just up the road from us in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Up the road if you live in Duluth, not here in Denver, Tyler.
Well, that's who the us was for, Dean. It's not always New Jersey, all right? So that high corner, that's how Team Hackner used to throw those. In the days when the ice was a lot straighter, so it was kind of necessary.
Still straight.
To throw the corners that high and use them. Here
Could
with
argue.
the great ice makers we have, we get plenty of curl even with tight guards to go around them.
Got a curl.
So with that high guard, Danny will try to put the second one guard behind the guard. Knowing how good these players are,
pretty good.
Peeling rocks, etc. He wants to protect one there. So the high corner guard goes up. The second corner guard goes behind it. Mark Fenner.
Yeah,
Fenner
really good
from Bemidji
opportunity here.
originally, right? Correct?
Also up the road from us, yes.
Yes, also, that's why I said it. Also up the road. Bemidji, Duluth, Hibbing.
Even
Chisholm,
closer than Thunder Bay, yeah.
Evelyn, yes. We'll be in Hibbing, Minnesota for the National 5 and Under Championship. Excited about that. And anybody who qualifies for the National 5 and Under Championship, I'd encourage you to also consider the Hibbing Last Chance Spiel. It's right about you can play both. Stay in Hibbing for about 10 days. Tyler, what do you think of that?
It's a lot of time in Hibbing, but I would recommend both of those tournaments, yes.
Yeah.
A little easier for those of us that are a little over an hour away.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll do a great job.
Really nice draw there by Fenner to the top of the button. And now Team Casper, again, looking like they're going to the wing with this shot. And it's kind of getting to a point where eventually you're chasing so many stones in the center of the sheet that it's difficult to continue to go to the outside. I would probably expect if this rock ends up buried that Team Dropkin will throw yet another one in the center. And how many can you actually move around?
It'll be interesting to see because previously we saw a similar setup and they chased this one, remember? But I think we'll see what they do here. They're going to look at it, but yeah, they're going to try that, which is interesting.
It's a interesting call, I would say. There could be a very good result if you get a great roll, but also you could be close to perfect with this, and they're going to hit this corner and try to roll to the center for those watching. But you could end up moving your stones around in the house and making it easier on Team Casper playing this. I would have loved to see another guard or even coming around a third time. I think a high center staggered on the side where those rocks were open would have been a really good result here.
Let's see, though. I like the creativity of this call, though, and it's pretty good.
If you're going to make it like that, it's a pretty good shot.
It's like, that's really good. Accomplishes getting rid of that low corner. Now they're free to chase that other yellow if they ever, or that other red stone that's behind the corner if they ever want to. But that was a really brilliant shot by Fenner. I like the call, and I like the execution was quite something.
This is one of those ones when you're coaching that it's an, oh no, what are you doing? And okay, fine,
Gotta get it to right
you
here.
made it great. But a lot of times the result that they got, yes, they did open that back stone up and everything worked out perfectly. But you could get to the same spot with a very simple shot as opposed to overcomplicating things. So playing the guard or playing the come around draw is a lot easier than doing it the way they did.
Richardson does get some action on the rocks and the rings. It's certainly better than it was.
And underrated part of that type of shot too, Dean, is the shooter stuck around.
Yeah.
Now with that rock being open on the wing, had that rock rolled out, I can guarantee you that Korey Dropkin would have hit that open stone. But because that guard is still in play, now even playing to the rocks in the center for Team Casper, they have a guard that can roll under playing those hits as well. So very important that that rock stuck around and gives Team Casper an opportunity to use it later in the end.
So Stopera with his first stone of this ninth end. Been an entertaining game for sure, Tyler.
Yeah, the little bit of a open start to the game, even though Casper had got two and had a shot for three. Weren't a lot of rocks in play, but they've definitely given us plenty of fodder for rock positioning, strategy, things like that. And
it's a well-placed stone.
Yeah, two teams that are very confident in their ability to make shots.
To not jam.
You see that with a lot of the calls too, where they're ignoring rocks in the center of the sheet, going to the corner because they believe in their ability to make that run back double or to clear things open.
Yeah,
and give themselves
you think
a chance
you got
to score
enough
later.
for that? Like you're saying this? Yeah, if you see enough. What kind of weight?
So now to your point earlier, Tyler, now they have to do some work in the center here. So they're, you're down two and you're have to get some, you'd like to make at least the two in the rings go away. You'd probably still stick that yellow guard in there.
And they do still have three rocks left after this shot too. So there will be an opportunity to possibly score multiple points.
That's a good shot there by Luke.
It will be in a second here. There we go.
We're pretty close now. We appreciate everyone's patience as we work through some of these things. The curling stadium team's working hard here, and hopefully we'll work through that. I'm sure we will. First night.
A pretty good result there.
Yeah.
Still guards in play to use, and they moved the one stone that stuck around for Team Dropkin out to the open. So Korey is going to chase this stone in the wing, but regardless of the result, Team Casper now will be able to play that hit and roll and try to get under the center and bring at least 2 back into play. So a couple of very good shots there by Team Casper to give themselves a chance. It's something we've seen throughout the game, Dean. Both teams have bailed extremely well in situations where it looked like they were in trouble or weren't going to have much of an opportunity to score. And boy, that was...
Yeah, both teams getting themselves out of the glue a bit, but that's a problematic throw there.
Yeah. That's a head scratcher for Stapera.
I mean, this ain't bad either.
Give you an update. John Schuster's now up 6-5 as they play the ninth end. Jason Smith has hammer in that game.
And now again, this discussion too from Casper and Violet about where to leave this stone. You're now at a point down by 2 and 9 where you have to try to get 3 this end. So rolling open is not going to help you as much. And they were talking about rolling to the outside. We'll see where they end up sweeping this to.
Straight, yep.
Rolling behind the stagger is certainly what they want to do.
Yes, 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 yes.
Roll perfectly.
Good.
That's a pretty good spot. Definitely, there's a tiny bit of that stone peeking out, but it's a teaser and on that same intern line that Dropkin has kind of battled throughout the game.
He's talking about the center. He's talking about the freeze, which might be his only shot here. They're going to call timeout and bring out their coach, Mark Lazar, but certainly a well-executed freeze takes some things out of play, but it's also one that comes with a certain element of risk.
Well, there's risk on both shots, too, because if they play the hit, wreck the guard, you could push another red counter in the rings with how those are staggered. And if you go right by and they play the draw around again, then 3-4 is in the picture. So we'll see if we can hear what Coach Lazar has to say here.
Good end. How about it?
Yeah, I like the flop under because that's us still playing for 2, but we have a chance for the 3. You know, flop wide.
I don't think we're going to get much of Mark at the moment. Mark has coached, he coached Andrew Stopera, all those junior titles. He's a longtime coach of Andrew and one of our most technically oriented coaches. Introducing a lot of new technology at USA Curling to how we operate.
The high guard. I got like a cramp.
So I think they settled on the freeze, or they think they can move this maybe.
They've really been diving over there too.
That one was weird.
I thought your first was weird, even including.
And this would be a shot that scoreboard-wise,
but
looks
all the others were
counterproductive.
Yeah,
but with the way these rocks are set up and where that rolled to, I agree with the call. I don't think that the risk reward in playing the hit with how little they can see is worth it.
Well, they certainly didn't have much discussion with Lazar, so he was on board with that. Not really the one you want to play when you're up 2 playing 9, but sometimes you have to suck it up when you're the last rock thrower. And big thing here is to not bounce off.
It's got a ways to curl here too still.
It definitely does. They're not doing much to it, but now they're talking about maybe, oh my gosh, they're going to bounce just on the corner, but Casper with an opportunity to get inside of that.
I like board. I like this. We can hold it.
There's Chase Sinnott saying what he has to do.
A very precise shot coming up here for Danny Casper. Looks like it's almost edge to edge on what they can see, but can definitely get inside enough to make this roll, in which case this is deep trouble for Team Dropkin and Dean. If they make this roll right, I would have to consider, if I'm Dropkin, hitting the open stone and giving 3.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I'm a little surprised, judging from the broom, it might be a little more weight than I was expecting.
They called board, if we heard correctly.
Right,
I think it's just running really that straight right now that they're able to hold the line.
So with board, if you can get to inside of it, certainly the...
Yep, hard!
they can flop a little bit under. They're
Oh,
gonna,
curl!
like you said, give Korey a real
Curl!
blast. Trying to make this rock curl under.
Girl!
Just bruised it a little bit on the sweep early. They do sit 3, but
I
really
think
that
see
was
Korey slashing this one, and
I didn't think so.
do they all go?
or does that does the slash end up jamming on that yellow in the back 12 foot? It's close to doing
very
that.
close.
Early.
I think they take it on anyways. They're
Yeah,
also
you're
talking-
playing the
No, it really
slash, I
started
think,
to
no
go.
matter what on this shot. It's just a matter of where that stone does go after it makes contact with the second red, if it does jam on the back. But I think the triple might be there.
Thanks.
Well, they're thinking even if they make the slash and it did actually jam, I think their shooter would roll to a pretty good place behind the corner guard. So first order of business, hit it as close to the possible spot you want to, as close as possible to the right spot, and then
And we
probably
do see
good
that,
things.
that intern big weight around the center
There we
line
go.
again for Dropkin.
Yeah,
Very
we'll
confident
see.
this shot.
Right in his wheelhouse, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit of a sweeping error on that last one from Team Casper.
You're right. They went on it earlier, and then they're trying to get it to curl. Here comes Dropkin. They haven't laid a brush to this yet, but he might be close. And there's the double and
they
the
all
triple.
go.
You know what I've heard before, Tyler, is that Korey likes that intern big weight right down the pipe. But yeah,
You know, when there's a lot of knowledge in the booth,
boy,
and
that was.
they have a feel for the game for this, and they pick up on
That's
those
so rude.
things.
I'm going to say that's my best call ever.
No,
actually,
It's like we almost predicted that he was going to make that.
Yeah.
With this, but yeah, that was
big shot for Dropkin there, though.
Great shot
Game
by
saver.
Dropkin. Unfortunate for Casper that if that curls another 2 inches, then
Yeah.
Korey's looking at giving up an automatic 3 probably, and instead now Casper drawing for 1. And we did
Massive
talk
bad,
again before the
massive
game
bad.
about rock placement
Gave
being
that a
so
lot.
important for this young team, and getting in situations where those inches have hurt them. In that final of the World University Games certainly happened, and now again, that's so close to having a huge end, and instead having to draw for 1 point.
Danny Casper will make the draw for 1 easily, but they'll be a little frustrated with that result.
So after the beautiful triple by Korey Dropkin to force Danny Casper to a draw for 1, it's now Dropkin 8-7 going to the final end with hammer. First draw of the 2023 Men's National Championships.
The everyday person may not aspire to be a professional athlete or an Olympic athlete. You may just want to be the best person you can be. You just may want to sleep better. You may want to feel better. Thorne has many products that can support all of those things. So it's not just about performing or running faster or jumping higher. It's those little things that go into having a higher quality of life.
Tenth end, opening draw of the 2023 Men's and Women's National Championships. Team Dropkin leads 8-7 with hammer starting the 10th. Tyler George in the booth with USA Curling interim CEO Dean Gemmel. And Dean, a lot of fireworks in this game. Fun one to start out the tournament. And now we're going to see one of the newer rules in USA Curling, or I should say World Curling, with major competitions. The no-tick rule, which has been instituted throughout the game, but the first time that it'll likely come into play, where they're not able to move that stone off of the center line. So the tick shot that's become so important in the sport eliminated with this rule change, and really helps for the excitement of especially late game situations.
Well, the reality was, last year that tick's pretty much automatic for Tom Howell, so that's why the rule came about. You got accomplished leads like Howell can make that shot pretty easily. So, they play the come around.
Got to curl a lot. Okay, it's way out there.
This rock
Casper
again,
trying
way
to
out
get
there.
buried.
Curl.
Yeah, he's trying to get buried behind the corner.
No.
And it's going to be in the rings and give Thomas Howell here a free pass at that one.
Yeah, that's a
Andrew Stopera will
rough
run
miss.
up there to put the broom down.
Now really trying to just throw another center guard underneath the high one, touching the center, and that rock ending up in the rings. Doesn't matter if you're on the center line, if the rock's in the house. That one didn't quite get there regardless, but Howell looking to run that stone out. Does, and avoids the backing as well, rolls to the wing.
Tight.
Casper now forced to try to get the guard behind the guard for the rest of the end for a while. Ben Richardson. Ben's always the best cellist in any curling field.
I think that'll probably hold true for his entire curling career. I'd like to meet the one who's better. I've heard Ben play. He's a remarkable cellist.
It's really tight.
That's the correct term, right? Cellist?
I believe it is cellist, yeah. Only flautist is the one that throws people off.
That rock over curls just a touch. Still a good center guard from Richardson, and the separation between those two stones the most important thing.
But with 5 rocks thrown, now Fenner plays the peel. Makes that easily.
Just a straight peel on the top one from Fenner. Casper will now replace the center guard again with Richardson's second stone.
Little update, I will say that Jason Smith is giving John Schuster, Jason Smith and his teammates giving John Schuster all he can handle. They're up 7-6. Schuster with the hammer in 10.
Got to cross center a bit.
Scott Dunham has beat Daryl Sobering. That's 8-4.
Curl.
And Rich Ruinen is up 7-4 over the Ethan Sampson team that we'll see at the World Juniors in Fusen, Germany shortly after this term. Fenner with another peel.
Do you like that now?
Another straightforward single peel for Team Dropkin, Mark Fenner. Keeping the center as open as possible. Interesting to see at what point Team Casper decides to come around the one guard they have in play.
Top 4.
They're considering it now, Dean. I think it might be at least one rock too early to come in with, especially with as tight as that redstone is to the house. It's a pretty short run. I think another long one, at least making them wait a little bit longer to have to play that run back, would be wise, but it appears that Violet will be playing the intern come-around draw.
Okay, line's good. Little room. Got a lot of room. Close.
Again, hoping for this rock to curl.
Curl.
And the misses tonight, Dean, have seemed to be mostly on the wide side. There were a few that touched some center guards earlier in the game, but the vast majority of errors from both teams has been trying to get rocks to curl.
So Stopera will, I'm not sure he's going to run this back or play the straight peel at this point, but
looks like just a straight peel for the time
I think
being.
so.
And I think, Dean, the difference in the 1-point lead or tied up is this decision where you're just playing the single peel as opposed to the run. You're just trying to make sure things are open enough that you have a decent shot for your last to win the game with no fear of the steal of 2 to lose the game.
It'd be easy enough to stuff the peel right on the redstone, or even worse, jam it onto your own.
Played.
So well thrown, well made.
So now it'll be replace for Violet, guarding that rock on the button.
High 3.
This end plays out with a couple more peels to the end, Dean. You may see with the way those rocks are angled, Casper electing to throw a draw to the top of the button.
Line's good.
Angled.
Clean.
On the other side of the center line so that there is no double.
Clean.
So it jams right onto the yellow.
Jams on the yellow. We're projecting farther into the end, but if these shots are made and the guards are peeled and replaced, I think that will be Casper's best chance at getting a steal and kind of a tricky situation where you almost would have to give one if you're Dropkin because of the angles as opposed to trying to play to kill both.
So Andrew Stopera will make his way to the other end to try to throw this intern peel again. His teammate and roommate, Mark Fenner, helps him digs the rock out for him. Stopera intern peel.
Cannot see the clocks as of now, but doesn't appear as though either team is in a big hurry. We're going to assume that neither is short on time.
So the peel is made.
Another replacement on the guard as we expect, and if this continues to play out this way, I think we'll see exactly what we discussed, Dean, where Casper will have a very good chance at stealing with a well-placed draw on his last, assuming this is made and Dropkin elects to play the straight peel once again.
I like you're a bit soft.
Danny Casper, his first in the 10th and possibly final end.
Straight early. Line's good, line's good. Close curl. Got a cross center.
Line looks to be good. Sweepers just cleaning this stone. Like it to be mid-tight, not too close to the rings.
No.
Looks pretty good.
Well, let's see what Korey Dropkin, Andrew Stopera think here, because there is that option.
Yeah, it over-curled just a little bit, and there is a possibility of at least bumping this rock out of shot, sitting two. And that's one, Dean, where you could get aggressive at the guard, too. If you tick the guard, move it over. Not a problem, as long as you open it up. The only bad miss would be on the wide side. And they are lining up to play. I would expect with this broom maybe just pure hack, maybe not any more than that.
What they sometimes call in this team space weight, which I think refers to the space between the hack and the back line.
Will be a hack weight hit for Dropkin, trying to get as close as he can to this red center guard and move that stone away. You see Mark Fenner
both sweepers going for backwards. Both sweepers going for line to try to hold it here.
It does get by.
Wow.
Perfectly made by Dropkin and rolls to Frozen on his own stone. So two options now for Team Casper.
It is.
They can hit and roll underneath the center, or they can hit and roll to 3/4 or 4/5 Frozen on that stone, as long as they're shot, in which case Dropkin will throw that intern missile at those stones again. So it looks like they're electing to just draw to get to that spot as opposed to
I think play the straight draw to get more of the button.
Okay, just as much of the button, I think, as we can. He's got a pretty easy in off his own.
And as you heard Casper say to his teammates, he probably has a pretty easy in off his own stone to make this, but at least you make him make it. Regardless of what stone they threw here, there's a pretty good chance Korey was going to be playing that peel weight intern again.
So Danny Casper trying to force the extra end.
Needs to get maybe half of his stone on the button to be shot.
Can chisel if you need. Whoa. Chisel if you need.
Danny's saying he'd like to chisel it if it's a little heavy.
Whoa.
So now they think it's a little heavy. They're trying to just bounce off that yellow.
Yes.
Get enough of the button.
Pretty well made. He is shot rock.
That is pretty good.
Dropkin electing to play the outside of the stone.
We had to be shot.
That's just looking at angles here, obviously.
Yeah.
You can hit anywhere on the outside here, basically, and make this shot as long as you throw Peel.
So he has to curl past it.
I don't know that there's a spot on the outside he can hit it that he doesn't win the game, Dean.
Yeah, it looks like anywhere on the outside with Peel, that rock is spinning over onto the red.
Even if you hit it really thick, if it's on the outside, it probably still rolls in for shot. But he's expecting to hit, I would think the safest way would be a half rock. Shoots right over off of his own into that red stone.
You're right. I think even 3/4 probably does it. But as long as he's on the high side, he makes this. But we'll see. His intern Peel, howl on it early.
Getting clean now. And that's well made by Dropkin. Hangs an extra one as well. Yeah,
well,
fun
not
one.
entirely well played, but a fun one.
Fun is important, and hangs a 2 in the last end to make the final score. Dropkin 10, Casper 7 in the opening draw of the 2023 Men's and Women's National Championships. We will be here with you all week, folks. We thank Dean Gemmel for joining in the booth. I think there's probably a decent chance Dean's in here again in the morning because we need to find him more stuff to do. But we'll have a carousel of second people in the booth to help me out throughout the course of the week. Thanks
I'm strictly a relief pitcher here, Tyler, at this point. So I think you have somebody else in the morning. I think you have Connor Kaufman, so we're trying to rotate some others in. So I'm a reliever at best. So, but I enjoyed it, Tyler. Happy to be along. Thanks to Curling Stadium for the work, and thanks to everybody who tuned in.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. For myself, Tyler George, and Dean Gemmel. Good night, everyone. Switch over to the other games for the other streams. We do have those games still available, and we will be back with the feature game tomorrow morning.